outside there in the streets is...
No, it's pleasant. Even there are people, but it's pleasant, it's quiet. The pace is what I'm referring to.
Okay.
It is not a fast pace.
I'm used to going to, our coastal towns, Diani, Mombasa.
But even then, the pace isn't high.
Yeah.
But Zanzibar, it's slower than that. To understand the pace, you need to go to Lamu.
Okay. Lamu is fast-paced or very slow? Very slow, eh?
Slow.
I hear there are no roads there. I mean, I've seen a couple of videos online.
There are roads.
Like proper roads, like Mali.
No, what you mean by proper roads is, are there vehicles on the island? Where would you want to go use a car to travel to?
I honestly don't know, but
it's a small island.
From what I have seen online, videos online, that is, I see a lot of donkeys, but I don't see. I've never seen like a vehicle. Like
probably there's one vehicle. Perhaps what you need to do,
yes,
is go to Lamu.
Twende Lamu.
Yes, mimi nishaenda Lamu, so mimi najua Lamu.
Unataka kwenda Lamu tena?
Kurudi? Not particularly.
Okay, so niende tu peke yangu.
I want to go to Pemba.
Pemba is in Tanzania, right?
Yes, I haven't been to Pemba.
Okay.
Yes. Huko ndio nataka kwenda.
Hapo mdosi anasikiza, tunataka kwenda Pemba. But nisikia Pemba huko kuna uchawi moba.
Wewe ni Mkamba, wewe unakusumbua nini? Si wewe ni Mkamba, wa Kitui kwanza. So shida iko wapi?
Shida iko mahali nini? Culture zetu zitagongana hivi. Alafu the what are they called, madimoni wakose kuelewana.
Suppose you tell me wewe city mazacha ku profile bana, what do you mean? Kwani Wakamboti no
hata nikisema hata ku profile city, it's inevitable, you will profile, and I'm certain other people out there are profile the same way we hear about Kisis, and we probably say the same thing.
Sisi kwetu achawi wako kwanza wale wa
kule Muhoroni
Luos,
yes,
tuko na wachawi na warogi pia. And then we have night runners. Yes, wale jamaa ambao tizi za usiku na kusumbua watu napenda sana.
But is that culture really entrenched in people such that any kitu kifanyika they need to go and consult?
Such a culture like night running, it requires pitch darkness. The moment you have electricity and power, in a run interference in your program. Because sasa ile pitch darkness hakuna bwana.
But naulizaje?
Yes.
Culture ya watu wenye wanaishi hizo areas zenye ziko nao, wachawi, waganga, whatever, do they actually go and consult these individuals? Yes. Like is it really pronounced?
It's a business, yes. I mean, no, it's subterranean in the sense that not every place is reportedly like, you see, where they burn people. Just suspicion.
Kwanza ukiwa tu na mvi kama wewe,
yes,
watu waanze kuona things around you are not going, una suspectiwa.
Umvi na scraggly hair, kimeze unaenda. No. It's quiet. One of the things that has run interference with those ni Christianity and the spread of it. So people over time now shun some of those practices, but they are still there. There are people who are known. If you wish to sort of like fix a hex on someone,
they will help you with that spell.
Fulani ndiye anajua kufanya hiyo mambo ya remote control. So
the remote control. In Kamani I see people consulting these individuals a lot, even just to get direction in their life. And you're like, bro, I mean, just sort yourself out, bana. You don't need to go and see some random person who will tell you what the stars are saying about you, or because Siti amekukosea, now you need to go and put a spell on him so that achizi ama akue muguruki. But anyway, it happens, and it's
the question is not why people go to see them. No. The real question in my mind is, what is it that makes people believe that those people actually have a solution?
Actually, I was going to ask you the same question, and my question was going to be like this, or rather my question is, do these practices actually yield results? For example, CT has robbed me and I want him to start eating grass. If I go to see this person X, will CT start eating grass?
There are those who believe so. Like, for instance, if you go among the Giriama and the Digo, they believe so extensively. In fact, among the people whom it is said it works, there are individuals whose part-time hobby is to try and seduce other people's wives.
So unaenda kwa mganga akufungie bibi.
My friend,
bibi aje ku rom.
There are cases that have been told of. I myself have never witnessed. So it's in the realm of things I have heard, that those things actually work.
Okay.
And there are specific places where you'll be told, my friend, there, people walk on walls.
Yeah.
Sasa niwe uamini kama watu wanatembea
kwa ukuta?
Yes. Okay. So the human need to explain things they don't understand using supernatural understanding has always been with mankind.
Okay.
And that's the understanding that there is a realm beyond us, beyond the touch and feel and what we see.
One of our colleagues in the office is from Kisii. So tutaenda kumuuliza baadaye atuambie kana kwamba hiyo mambo inafanyikanga huko kwao. Edna, good morning. Our producer is from Kisii. Tutamuuliza kama hiyo mambo inafanyika. Anyway, let's check out what significant day we are celebrating today. It is the 12th of September, the year 2025. And I'm looking at historical events. So here are some notable events that occurred on this particular day. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was inspired to write the poem that will become the Star-Spangled Banner after witnessing the bombardment of Fort McHenry by British ships during the War of 1812. Enyo uliniambianga ukweli. Watu wamekuwa kipigana for centuries, eh?
My friend,
people were fighting in 1814.
What 18? Go back to 12. Go back to 10. Go back to these fellows.
Go back to the time of Jesus Christ. These folks were fighting.
They've been fighting before BC.
Yeah.
Constantly. In those days, what we refer to in terms of geographical jurisdiction could belong to a chief.
Yes.
Those guys were called kings.
Hey!
Ile kuzozana na kupigana na kuuana ambayo ilikuwepo. And that is the reason why historically we are informed that they would intermarry. The understanding was that was supposed to be like a peace pact. So sasa kama kijana wangu ameoa msichana kwenu, we're now relatives. So the likelihood of us fighting will not be there.
Yeah.
Then there was infighting amongst the king and relatives wake. You find the patriarch had probably 12 sons.
Yes.
So the eldest becomes king. Kuna wengine wanaona huyu jamaa mzee fala.
If he feels so entitled to this
if throne. If I borrow your term fala huyu, we can do better.
Faladush.
Yes. By the way, tusipeleke mbali. There is a kingdom in Uganda it's called the Bunyoro Kitara Kingdom.
Bunyoro Kitara.
Yes. They were notorious for those fights. Yes. And there are those who argue that these struggles for the kingdom among cousins, is what led to the movement of certain communities from those places back into Kenya via the lake. They argue that if you look at the dispersion.
Now we're talking about the Luo community now.
Yes, not the Luo Babito. We just talk about the dispersion of the Luos as they follow the Nile wakishuka.
Yes.
Some ended up in that kingdom and they were, it is said that, well, let me put it correctly. Some scholars say that they were advisors to the kings.
Yes.
Now, when there was an overthrow of the kings, the people who were then targeted were advisors in their families. Those fellows had a very complete system. They don't just kill you.
Yes.
Everybody who's related to you, they want to wipe out that lineage completely. So
they called it the bloodline.
Yes. Very good word.
Yeah.
So folklore among these people was that our people went this way, south, and crossed the lake. So they crossed the lake.
Yeah.
Now, those scholars who are of this view argue that when you find the people who are called the Abasuba, who speak a language they consider Bantu. They say the
Subanese now.
Yes, the Abasuba. Yes, what you call the Subanese. They say these are the people who crossed the lake and started living up on the hills. And they argue that they were afraid to live by the lake because they needed to be in a place where a vantage point, where
higher
they could
ground.
Yes, there are those who explain it that way because the Abasuba have a very distinct language. Distinct.
Yeah.
But over time, it's become influence. For instance, those who are closer to Kisii, you'll find that their dialect has an influence of that.
Okay.
If you go to Migori County, you'll find a very large number of communities, whose origins are Abasuba. Okay. And again, they have a very distinct language.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they can also speak the Luo.
Oh, they all speak, all
of them.
But the Abasuba language is dying. You'll find there are people of my generation who speak it and those who are older. Those who are younger, there are few.
Okay.
Yes.
Right.
Now the Abasuba, to understand it, the areas, whether you're talking about Mbita, whether you're talking about the islands, Mfangano, Rembari, Ngiti, Takawiri, all those places, it is those people. And you go along the lake, you go to a place called Sori, which is now in South, in Migori County.
Yes.
And you move further up. All those people, okay?
Abasuba.
Yes, many of them are Abasuba. They've since been integrated, but they are Abasuba.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you for that history lesson. Kama kawaida, I greatly appreciate it, and I'm sure folks out there appreciate it as well. It's time for that methali in the morning. Yenye tunapatiangu hapa na Bwana Siti Muga. In case you're joining us for the first time, by the way, very much feel very much welcomed, rather. This is Radio Generation. We are 88.8 in Nairobi, 90.7 in Mombasa. And most importantly, we are internationally recognized on our social media pages as well. That is at Radio Gen KE, and you can also find us on YouTube and watch us live at Radio Generation Kenya channel on YouTube. And as we continue to celebrate significant days, a big shout out to Ethiopians who celebrated their new year yesterday. That is 2018. Ethiopia celebrates New Year's Day and marks the start of 2018 in the Ethiopian calendar, which has 13 months. Sisi hapa tuna celebrate 12 months, wana celebrate 13. The Chinese also have a very interesting calendar. I think their calendar is way ahead of ours.
The Indians also have one.
Wana celebrate different times.
Any culture that has their own writing, their own alphabets, you will find that they also have
calendar to follow.
Yes, they do. They do. Which means that tells you about the civilization.
Yes.
But the time of civilization has their own writing, yani maandishi ambao unaweza kusoma. It means they had evolved and developed to the point where they could do that. And if you visit those countries, you will find that indeed there is ample evidence to demonstrate how that particular development was manifested in terms of the buildings they had, in terms of the understanding of government that they had.
Right.
That's why that particular country had an emperor.
Yeah.
And by the way, it was never colonized.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Ethiopia was never colonized.
Never.
Yes.
But they also demonstrate how destructive and how divisive embracing the Western way of things can be to a community and a society. Because the moment they deposed their emperor, it meant that people who belonged to the community that the emperor had come from were also targeted.
Yeah.
And that is the reason why you have a very large diaspora representation of Ethiopians. You'll find many of them tend to come from one community. Yeah. Now, the moment a community is profiled, you then have a problem that is going to be historic.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So a big shout out to my Ethiopian brothers and sisters. For example, nataka nisalimie Menelik, nataka nisalimie Yakuno Amlak, Zara Yakob. I'm just reading names of the emperors. And Haile Selassie.
For a moment I was thinking this guy also surely.
Hebu tupatie methali tuende kwa news zenye zina make trends all over the world.
The seed includes all the possibilities of a tree.
The seed
includes
all the possibilities of a tree.
Yes.
I like that. As a biotechnologist, you know me, and I'm
when you see the seed,
thinking deeper into the genes.
When you see the seed, what you're seeing is not just something that resembles a pebble. You're seeing immense possibilities.
Yes.
And it starts with a tree.
Yes. Actually, immense potential.
Yes. Yes.
That seed is what is going to give birth to the entire tree, the leaves, the branches, the fruits, and more seeds.
Yes, exactly. And then when you look at now the participation of insects and birds, pollination,
seed dispersal,
you then begin to have a forest. And you give it time, you have a very, very dense forest. And with the forest comes the foliage, that is undergrowth. You have the shrubbery. Then you have the grass. And you have an entire ecosystem, ecological ecosystem. Right. Now that also now pulls and brings with it the botanical aspect of a forest.
Right. Yes. And actually, let me give guys a bit of homework. Go check out something called mycelium. This is what happens underneath the soil. What we walk on the soil, chini yake, there's another even bigger ecosystem that pans all over the world. Trees communicate from here to Timbuktu and beyond.
They do. What we call the whistling of trees. You see, you talk about the botanical. The botanical now coexists with the zoological. Because the trees are house insects. Insects house come with birds because birds feed on insects. Yes. Then you have the other, you have mammals, then you have the reptiles. Now then you have a complete ecosystem.
Hallelujah.
And the people who disturb that ecosystem are these things called human beings.
Oh yeah, CC.
They are the ones.
We are the disease.
Something is that we are the virus actually.
The virus.
Yes.
All right, let's check out what is happening on rgk.co.ke. That is our website, where you can also get to see CT, by the way, and you'll get to see me as well, having this very interesting banter with this gentleman. The first story we're going to check out is on Boda Bodas. Yeah, it is written by Tanya Wanjiko. New rules require Boda Boda riders to wear county uniforms and display IDs. Boda Boda riders will now be required to wear uniforms specific to their counties and display unique identification numbers on their motorcycles as part of new government measures aimed at curbing crime and improving accountability in the sector. The reforms were announced after a high-level meeting on Thursday between senior police officials and leaders of the National Boda Boda Association in Nairobi. Convened by Nairobi Regional Police Commander George Seda, the session brought together key stakeholders to tackle rising lawlessness and mob justice linked to Boda Boda riders. All right, so we've seen the madness that has been happening in this industry called Boda Boda, the sector. And when I was driving home on, I think it was on Tuesday, at around, I think it was around midday, I witnessed an accident that had already happened. And it had just happened. It's like nilipata tu ndio imemaliza kufanyika. So there was a Toyota Noah vehicle that had knocked down a Boda Boda rider. And the Boda Boda rider was bleeding profusely from his face. I don't know where exactly the injury was, but his entire face was covered in blood. And then next to the rider, the pillion passenger lay dead.
Dead?
Oh, yes.
Oh, dearie.
The passenger was dead. They had just covered this passenger, this victim, this individual with naitwaje kitu. Ile jacket alikuwa amevaa, walichukua
reflector jacket.
I was like, it's midday. Chances are this woman has actually probably come from the same estate I'm going to. And from the look of things, it had just happened, because you could see people now flocking pole pole. There was a police officer who was walking from a distance. You could see him rushing towards the scene because probably amesignaliwa na wengine akuje, or probably alisikia mulio wa hiyo accident. And I just asked myself, why? And I think it was a lady who had died. I asked myself, this woman has probably come from the house, akambia bwana yake ama brother zake ama sister zake ama whoever anaishi na wao, see you later. Probably going to work or the market. These people are in the house right now, probably don't even know that their kin is dead. And that thing really broke my heart. The reason I brought up that story up is because I feel like, from the way I looked at the accident, this is just my own assessment of the situation, Boda Boda rider anaweza kuwa ndiye alikuwa on the wrong. Because I could tell this Toyota Noah was probably trying to overtake a lorry or another vehicle, and this Boda Boda rider alikuwa amekuja mbio sana. Now because where that road is, it's a really busy spot, and I feel like he should have known that this place is usually busy. Drive slowly, carefully, and perhaps even if there was going to be an impact, it wasn't going to result in injury.
It wasn't going to be fatal
and death. So I just hope that, and it's unfortunate that every single time these guys get into an accident, they usually suffer like some dire consequences. Because number one, wewe kama boda boda rider, you are the body, and it's not like you're screwed or bolted to the piki. The moment that piki stops, my friend, you're flying. So sometimes even when I don't drive, I'd rather walk.
The thing that is perhaps tragic is not the boda or the rider, but it's the mentality that is associated with them. They are the face of impunity. They disregard traffic lights, they disregard traffic rules, they disregard any order that you can think of. And the moment one of them is involved in an accident, my friend,
yeah.
And if you're not careful, one, you'll be robbed. Secondly, there will be so much commotion, whether it is intended to let this guy escape, whether it's intended to terrify you and to intimidate you.
I think inakwanga tu ile mob mentality ya mtu wetu. You don't even know what this mtu wetu has done. but you just come, and because you've seen a boda boda rider ako chini, you automatically assume the other party is on the wrong.
I've had occasion to experience it, so I know.
Anyway, let's hope these new rules will actually bring some kind of sanity. How that will happen, I'm yet to find out. Panel moves to lift court order blocking protest victims' compensation. This one also a story that has been published this morning. The panel of experts on compensation of victims of demonstrations and public protests has moved to have a High Court injunction lifted, which temporarily blocked its work shortly after the panel was formed. On September 8th, Justice Dennis Magari Kizito issued a conservatory order following a petition by Nairobi lawyer Levi Munyeri. The ruling paused the government's plan to compensate victims of protests-related violence between 2017 and 2025. Nani tulikuwa tumegeti naye hapa hivi akasema Kenya has got this tendency of just blocking and stopping everything through the courts. Yeah, even if it is intended to do good to the community or the society. And I'm trying to remember, it was a politician who actually said it. Akasema unaweza hata kuwa na kitu tu poa unataka ifanyike, but the moment you institute this particular process, someone just goes to court and says stop this process because movie didn't follow due process. So it's not even about the fact that I am actually doing something good. It's just that because I didn't follow due process and so on and so forth.
Unfortunately, we don't seem to have understood what it means, the rule of law. Our laws are clear about the setting up of bodies such as the one that was set up for compensation of victims.
Yeah.
Okay? If the government did not bother to take the time to explain to people the processes they had followed before enacting it, it is the right of every citizen to query it.
Yeah.
It's the right of every citizen to say, I don't understand this thing. The I don't understand is often answered by public participation and the evidence that it took place. When you want to follow a certain process, the government must learn and understand that beyond telling people we are doing this, you need to engage the citizenry in this process so that there is evidence you have engaged them. So that when someone says, but we have engaged the citizenry, this is what we have done to engage the citizenry. Okay? The BBI and whatever else it was seeking to do, there are many who argue that it was supposed to be a very, very good thing. Mheshimiwa Kaluma was here telling us that many of the things that people complained about have already been passed in Parliament. But one of the reasons why it was halted was because of public participation. I don't know why they don't understand it. If they feel this public participation is a hindrance, then remove it from the constitution so it ceases to be a part of it. But that is now changing the constitution. To change it, you need a referendum. The rule of law is complex, brother. Now, until and unless you embrace and understand that so long as there is a rule of law that people attempt to adhere to in this country, it's what you'll be fighting, not the individuals.
Yeah.
They are actually taking hold of what the rule of law gives them, and they're taking it to the arena where it can be adjudicated. It's called our courts.
All right. Now, in an urgent application filed through Advocate Ochiel Dudley, the panel argues that Munyeri, the same lawyer rather who went to seek this situation stopped. So it argues that Munyeri obtained the court order improperly during the judicial recess by concealing ongoing related cases. The panel contends this misled the judge, placing him in the perplexing situation of giving ex parte relief over a matter where the eminent Dr. Magare, a relation of the learned duty judge, is a litigant. Brother, Kenya ni cinema.
But I told you that, you see, one of the things you must always appreciate is that whenever somebody sets in motion these things, we have now a tutorial class for legal processes.
Kenya na kwanga cinema.
We now get to understand how the law works.
Yeah.
It's a good thing. You see, you can consider this a nuisance factor.
Yeah.
But this nuisance is what makes the citizenry understand their rights within the laws of this country.
Right.
And what the law can do. And those who then seek to pronounce and to set in motion certain things will then understand that it is in our interest if we want to achieve this end to ensure that we follow due process.
Yeah.
Yes.
Person of interest identified over Loyambobu murder, according to CS Murkomen. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has provided an update on the investigation into the killing of well-known lawyer Chalo Mbobu, who was shot along Magadi Road in Nairobi. Speaking to the press on Thursday in Migori County, Murkomen said detectives have already identified key individuals linked to the murder and are actively questioning them. So we'll be talking about lawyer Chalo Mbobu in a short while, especially once we get into the newspapers after we give you the traffic update. But yeah, since yesterday they've been saying that they have actually identified someone who is of interest, and they are pursuing this particular individual. How far that is gone as far as them actually getting to this particular individual, and how ready they are to charge him or her in court if indeed they have arrested this person, and if this person is actually guilty, I guess in time we shall find out. But Ojanga, in the initial stages kuna hongania haraka mingi, we are on, you know, on the heels of this particular individuals, hot pursuit manenos and all that. Then suddenly the story now dies down.
This one won't die that easily.
The reason I'm saying this is because MP Were, something similar was said, and tukaona manze kelele mingi sana, watu wameshikwa from the bodyguards to the driver to the
they know exactly who did it and why they did it. They know.
Then right now that case is still in court.
Yeah, they
we are not
know.
even sure whether
they know who did it. They even know why that person did it.
Okay.
Yes.
So why haven't they told us, or why hasn't the court
they'll tell you
found this person or persons guilty?
They'll tell you when they're ready to tell you. The matter will be taken to court if they want it to go to court. And when it's in court, then it will be in the public domain. When we had this discussion yesterday, my view was as follows.
Yeah.
If the DCI wishes to pursue this matter and come to a conclusion, they will do so in the shortest manner possible. And the reason why I said this, my view again was that our DCI is extremely efficient. They know what they're doing. Believe me, they do.
Okay.
If they're not interfered with, from whatever quarters, they'll get to the bottom of this quicker than you can think.
I would like to sit down with a DCI officer, you know, like a proper detective. These people who actually investigate and find evidence. And I just want to understand their thought process.
Do you really think, for instance, if you look at the Star, we'll be looking at it, and you look at the details of this gentleman's life and some of the issues that are said to be associated with him, you think that some of these things the DCI did not know?
Yeah.
You get into their radar very quickly. The moment there's more than one person complaining about you over something or the other, you're in their radar.
All right.
Whether they do something about it is a completely different matter. But you'll be in their radar. Yes.
Wacha tufanye traffic kidogo.
This is Radio Generation.
Brace yourself. Nairobi, Mogadishu City versus Kenya Police FC, September 20th at Nyayo Stadium. The CAF Champions League qualifier. Want free tickets? Listen, play and win on Radio Generation 88.8. Get your tickets at
langopass.com. Radio Generation 88.8 Nairobi. This is Radio Generation. Traffic on Radio Generation.
All right, what is happening on the streets of Nairobi right now? I'm looking at a picture of Google Maps, and I can tell you for a fact that hapa hamuna shida yote. The roads are looking green all the way from Mlolongo to town, all the way from Ngong to town as well, all the way from Wayakiwe huko side za kunaitwaje kule Kino, mko tu sawa kuingia Nairobi town. Lakini if you've noticed anything and you think we should know about it, please holler at a brother, and I'll definitely keep Nairobi and the rest of the world updated. Right now though, let's check out what's happening on the newspapers. Tukianza na Daily Nation hapa mbele wanasema how DCI spies on your phone. How the Directorate of Criminal Investigations spies on your phone. So apparently, a report accusing Kenyan security agents of installing spyware on the phones of two detainees has revived concerns about privacy violations through illegal surveillance targeting government critics. The expose adds to a disturbing trend of police accessing personal data from telcos without court orders. Yeah, and they've highlighted, I think, 4 spywares or five softwares that the DCI could be using. Yeah, could be using on your phones or on phones of your loved ones or whoever. Now, TSC new rules for tutors to oversee exams. The regulations target teachers set to administer national exams for grade 6, grade 9 and Form 4 candidates next month. Under the new rules, those recruited will not be allowed to serve in schools with which they have been affiliated in the past 3 years, among other conditions. That story is on page 10. While Raila postponed crucial ODM meeting, the party has deferred its National Delegates Conference scheduled for next month to avert a fallout that could overshadow its 20th anniversary celebrations. To see more of that, check out page 7. Police pursue 2 motives for the murder of city lawyer. That story is on page 12. And then on page 3, twins separated at birth reunite 4 decades later in Bomet. Tukiangalia the Standard, tales after death. The day Chalombobu cut the figure, by day, Chalombobu cut the figure of a polished lawyer and devout church elder, a man who quoted scripture as confidently as Keslu. But beyond the courtroom and pulpit, he was marred in mounting debts, from Shylocks who hounded him for unpaid loans to clients who dragged him to court over millions they claimed he had pocketed. Former colleagues spoke of a once promising advocate increasingly consumed by financial strain. His double life leaving a trail of lawsuits and whispers in legal circles. Stories on page 2 and 3 of the Standard. Siti Muga, nakumbuka wakati tulijua kifo cha Chalombobu, tulikuja hapa the next morning tukaanza kuspeculate. Or rather mimi nikaspekulate sana nikasema ya kwamba vitu ambavyo vinaweza kufanya mtu mwingine auawe ama mtu awewe na mwingine ama na mwenzake. Number 1, it's either money is involved, a woman or women are involved, ama siasa mbaya is involved. And according to the Standard, kwa kifo cha mwenda zake Chalombobu, could be money related. Could be. Until this year, of course, tell us a different story.
If you look at, turn the pages.
Yeah. Sorry, I do what?
Turn the page.
So to page 2 and 3.
Yes.
Security play.
They've actually catalogued it. Just keep looking.
Oh.
They've indicated this is what they allege was owed to so and so. This is what was alleged was owed to so and so. Yes. So
death, lawsuit and betrayal inside dark life of slain lawyer. Advocate Chalombobu blacklisted by banks turned to Shylocks and payday lenders for rescue. At the time of his death, debts to Shylocks had ballooned past 120 million. Bro. Denia 120 million. Denia 120 million, like on a serious note, what's not happening?
That's not the only one. If you read further, you'll find, in the Standard especially, you'll find that they actually go into details of what those debts are like, who they owe. They indicate that there was some clients' money that was involved. They indicate that even the Shylocks who allegedly money was borrowed from and the amounts that were borrowed and the interest, what had been paid, the interest that remained to be paid.
Yes.
Wait.
You know me, I'm just thinking of my life, my very simple life. And I think the highest debt nimekuwa na, like ile deni nasema nimekuwa nao mingi sana na nikafuatwa. Na si kufuatwa na ubaya, yani zile za I have to keep, my lender updated on. So this is where we at. I think the most money I've ever borrowed is 1 million. Now I'm thinking of the late Chalombobu rather. 120 million. Na hii ni a Shylock. Banks zimeku blacklist.
That's one Shylock. One. The others, they've actually drawn a timetable. And indicated they owed this, owed this, owed this. If what we read is true, then this is somebody who was in dire. His financial situation was dire. Yes. But again, that does not tell us why it is he was killed. It just tells us he owed money. And by the looks of it, some of those monies he was paying. So,
anyway,
these stories, one never jumps to any conclusion beyond reading what is there, because we have absolutely no idea. We think we do, but we actually don't. As the days go by, you will get to hear more.
Mengi yatajitokeza.
Yes, you will get to hear more and more and more. There are people who may be owed money, but they do not wish to talk about it. And they would rather their names are not mentioned.
Yes.
And if someone is owed Why would they kill this person? Because if you kill them now, for sure, that's precisely the point. So why would you kill the person?
Yeah.
So the reasons behind the death, that's where when you say you want to meet a live DCI individual, it is good. You'll understand their thinking and how they go about their business. Believe me, it is very very logical. And it's very evidence-based.
Yeah.
Very little guesswork.
Yeah.
Very little. When they explain to you, they'll tell you. This person is this sort of person. The people he associates with are these sorts of people. The people he owes money are these sorts of people. These people tend to lend money to these types of people. This is how they enforce the payments when they are owed.
Yeah.
Enforce. They don't kill you. Because to kill you means they have written off that loan. So if that is the case, you would ask, why would they want to write off that loan?
Have you ever lent someone money and then you go onto social media, someone tells you, hey manze city, akiniokole na 5,000 akurudisha Monday. So today is Friday, right? Manze sina chakula, watoto GBB da. You're like, okay, here's some 5,000. Then later on in the evening, you are chilling in the house. You even ile pesa ulimpatia umesacrifice because you're like, si narudi Monday. Wacha nijikazia maisha nisaidie rafiki yangu. Then Friday evening you get onto your social media.
Jamaa nakula happy Mombasa.
And then he's holding a very expensive bottle. You're like, but I just gave this guy 5,000. You're telling me the way he's broke.
Yeah, but the two are not related.
This person was literally telling me that his family has not been fed for 2 days.
Yes, the two are not related.
Yeah.
You have no idea what happened from the time you gave him the money to the time the posting took place. That 5,000 may have gone to the family.
Yeah.
Why he's in Mombasa and holding that drink, you also don't know. You are assuming it is your money which took him there. Maybe he has a friend who has means who took him there. Maybe there are so many maybes on that story. You actually can't conclude that it is your money. You are responding to the pain you have because you sacrificed, and you say, wait a moment, even I wanted to have a good time, but I gave him the money.
Nimejikazia maisha nikusaidie na hii pesa.
How on earth is he having a good time? And no. The two are not related.
Okay.
He may very well at that particular point in time. And if your friend is one of these fellows who's constantly moving from one thing to the other called deals, maybe an hour after he asks you for the money, something came through. Or maybe that's something.
And you share 5,000 yangu, alafu yenda akakule pi Mombasa.
In their mind, hiyo atakupatia kwanza hiyo ni kidogo sasa. But the time it comes from Mombasa, you pesa imeisha.
I once lent someone 5,000 bob, and then I asked for it after the time of that we had agreed on nilipe ikaisha. Actually, I gave him like an extra, probably 1 month. Then I called him back and I was like, yo bro, my 5Gs, anambia sambu 5,000 nikitia kunipigia simu.
You were upset, of course.
So I'm imagining, and I'm not saying that this is what happened in the case of Chalo Mbobu, may he rest in peace. But I'm just saying, sometimes you can actually make your Shylock want to come and, send border riders to you to do things. Because you owe me some 10-20 million. Na nikikupigia simu nikuambia niaje nilipe pesa yangu, naambia sasa 20 million nikitio kunifuatilia. Yeah.
But one Mr. Paul.
Yes.
Why would you kill someone?
Yeah.
Of all the things we've mentioned, which of these things warrants the death of someone?
Actually none.
So?
Nothing warrants death.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a fact.
So what is it that happened to the point? 8 bullets are many. These fellows wanted to ensure that this fellow was dead. They were not scaring him. Yeah. They were not seeking to injure him. They were seeking to kill him. 8. I wanted to kill you.
True.
Yes.
True. 3 groups urge UN and AU and IGAD to end bloody Sudan conflict. That story is on page 5 of the Standard newspaper. Scammers paradise, how fake gold fraudsters mint billions from foreigners. Hiyo story iko ukurasa wa 4 wa the Standard newspaper. From luxury hotels to make-believe scenes, detectives reveal how fraudsters lure their victims. Yeah, if you are someone who likes the good life, you need to read pages 4 all the way to page 5 of the Daily, not the Daily Nation, but of the Standard newspaper. Because this is how scammers actually look for you. You like the good life, and they will lure you with the good life. And then ujipate mali uko unataka kujipata. How Ruto lofty UHC promise went up in the air in 3 years. We have here Grace Muley, a patient from Kenyatta National Hospital, who stormed Afya House, Nairobi, to register her disappointment on SHA. She claimed the system was not working on January 15th, 2025. I know you remember that.
Yes.
That drama. Scandals, leadership changes, derail bid to step up health sector. Again, this is what might be plaguing that particular industry. And last but not least, Faith Irungu expressed their position on Ruto protest victims panel. And I think we had a conversation here. Who came here akatanza kuambia maneno ya panel? It was not Houghton. Someone who's actually there. Mr. Okango. Alikuja hapa akatuexplainia, akatupatia roadmap ya how this particular panel wants to serve its purpose. And to be honest, I was convinced, and I think it serves a very good purpose. So I hope everything works out so that people can get compensated. Sisi unajua tuko hapa hivi hata tuna stress mingi sana, but there's someone who lost a loved one and they're looking for some semblance of justice and maybe just some semblance of closure. And I think this panel should be allowed to do their job. Anyway, City, what is on your end?
Let's look at the Business Daily.
Please, let's.
Centum buys out geothermal partners for 233 million. Centum paid 194 million to buy a 37.5% stake from Danish private fund DI Frontier and 39 million to buy out American firm RAM Energy, meaning Centum have entered the geothermal business.
So they spent about 2 million USD.
I think something. That's quite correct, sir. Yes. Yeah. Yes, correct. Treasury leans on reopened bonds to tame cost of debt. The Central Bank of Kenya and the Treasury are set to continue with their recent trend of reopening older bonds when raising fresh domestic debt. So we want to borrow more so that we can do more with what we have borrowed. And while we are doing more, we'll also increase our debt portfolio so that we will owe more. So, yes, this is a merry-go-round where there is a tail we are chasing and we are chasing it vigorously. But, I'm being facetious. If we need to understand this matter of borrowing and why and so forth, let's look for another economist, bring them here so that we discuss, so that it is understood. Okay? Someone explains to us this thing in detail and why it becomes necessary for nations to borrow. Right? Yeah. Because if we take the individual who tragically was shot dead, he also borrowed money. What would the equivalent of Kenya borrowing to the point where we are shot 8 times and we die?
Where?
Yes.
If we default on the loans, for sure.
Yes. And when you borrow internationally, who are the sort of lenders who mimic and are similar to what we call Shylocks within the international borrowing arena? And have we borrowed from such individuals? And can we say that because we have borrowed, those debts will never come to an end? Remember when we're told by Odhiambo Mogi here,
yes,
that one of the things that the government of Uhuru Kenyatta did, they kicked the bucket down the road.
Wakasema hiyo deni italipwa na the next government.
And another interest, you'd assume you pay the interest as you kick it down the road. But there's a limit beyond which you can't kick the can down the road, and that's what this government found. So they had to pay the principal. Remember the time when there was this conversation about default? We had to pay the principal. Brother, we entered the realm of trillion. And that one is a check-off system. It's not we write you a check. The system, the due date, the money,
inajipeleka yenyewe. Unapata the balance.
It doesn't require shepherd. It just goes.
It knows its way.
So come on, that was the amount. In the evening, our accounts have, the trillion. Morning.
Zero.
It went. Right. Ruto linked Amako raises to biggest matatu insurer. Not raises, rises. A firm linked to President William Ruto's family has toppled an insurer majority owned by media mogul Samuel Kamau Macharia, that is SK Macharia, as the lender of Kenya's multi-billion public service vehicle insurance market. The Africa Merchant Assurance Amako, partly owned by President Ruto's family and close allies, has won the business worth billions of shillings in recent years to grow market share to 54.71%, which means they're the majority shareholder of that particular market. At the end of March this year, from 37.51% in December, to perch itself at the summit of insuring matatus. So, Amakoda Insurance, same was Up Group. Bang in the middle of this paper, borrowers failed to pay 83% of digital loans, hold it, below 1,000.
Below 1,000.
Those who borrowed 1,000.
Yes.
And many of them are the people who borrowed from that Hustler Fund.
Yes.
83% of them have failed to pay. So Hustler Fund plus other digital lenders, that is what has happened.
6 million ilienda hivyo na Hustler Fund.
Yeah,
but PS alikuwa hapa akatuambia haijaenda mahali.
No.
Mkono wa serikali ni mrefu.
Isitoshe ni Wakenya walipewa hiyo pesa. So if the government money that was being lent, so Mkenya alipewa pesa yake.
But my brother, do you know there's some foreigners here who hold Kenyan IDs?
It is perfectly all right, they are Kenyans.
With
Please,
Kenyan IDs.
No, do not rupture blood vessel.
Yeah.
They are Kenyans. You have a Kenyan ID, you are a Kenyan. We welcome you. Yes. Don't just commit crimes. So long as you don't commit crimes.
But with a Burundi passport.
So long as you don't commit crimes, we're okay. Yes.
Okay.
We welcome neighbors.
Yes.
Please.
All right.
Yes. Let's not complicate this thing. Okay?
Huyo mtu tuenda akwambia my brother, look at my ID.
It is perfectly okay. It is perfect. Perfect. Even if you have a Kenyan ID and you cannot speak a syllable of Kiswahili, it is okay. You will learn.
Okay.
All right?
Sawa.
Ce n'est pas problème.
Je ne transfère les critiques, ni problème.
What you've said
ulizani niwe peke yake unajua Kifaransa.
Actually I don't. These are things I just say to give the impression I understand the language.
So you also watch movies,
Nail by mouth. Okay. Pay up. This is in the Weekend Star. Audit flags irregular at GDC, exposes in 2.3 billion legal claim. Ay.
Okay.
Hii pesa ni mingi sana.
3 point what?
3 billions.
Okay.
Mingi sana. LSK governors back senators bid for enhanced oversight. MPs currently receiving public views on consultation of Kenya Amendment Bill 2025. Very good. Geothermal firm could lose 2.3 billion in legal claim, Gadungu audit shows. Steam power producer GDC faces substantial financial risk, totaling billions of shillings, which threaten to cripple its operations if upheld by the courts. According to recent findings about General Nancy Gadungu, Geothermal Development Company could lose up to 2.3 billion if it loses its appeal on the reference matter. A dispute between the company of the firm was handled at a tribunal and in the High Court, and a ruling was made against GDC and ordering it to pay 2.3 billion. All right.
So GDC is a Kenyan company of Kenya. It's a parasitero.
Yeah, but you see, this discussion about power doesn't begin and end with geothermal firms. We have certain firms within the country that produce power on behalf of the government, and they've had contracts for the longest time. By the way, if you go into the history, with the power cut problem we had in this Kenya was immense. So we invited some individuals within the country, invested in power generating, diesel powered generating. Yes, Kipevu, Wapi, they're all over the country. The contracts have been a subject of immense debate, because even when we started producing sufficient power, the contracts indicated in some of those cases that we should continue paying them even when they're not producing power. Okay? Which means that people who own them will continue making money whether they're producing power or not. But there is no indication as to when the usefulness would come to an end. All right? Diesel producing power generating plants are expensive. When you pay for it, you're paying for all that plus the profit on top. And it's in the double-digit billions.
Yes.
Okay? Now, if we're to talk about geothermal, we need to bring this in, because if you want to talk about the cost of power, all these players have to be included, because they all contribute to the national grid.
Okay.
So when you talk about the cost of power has to do with power being produced, what it costs to produce, and that cost is passed on to the consumer. So these are things that we must discuss. It can't be just one unit. It must be every entity that produces power. Their contribution must be looked at in detail. once again, we'll bring experts who understand these things and we can talk about it in greater detail.
Yeah.
Right. The Siasa columns. When sorry isn't enough, reparations needed for protest victims. Okay. Lawyers murder, detective focus on lunch meeting at Top City Hotel. Student 21, bless you, found dead after a botched abortion. This is tragic, sad, tragic.
Yeah.
Bang in the middle of the paper, active or preliminary investigation ongoing in nearly all devolved units. Now, this is the sort of headline that makes my heart glad.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
And I'll tell you why.
Please do.
ESCC hits 38 counties in mega tender probe. It gladdens my heart because our counties are the citadel of the sort of corruptions that we keep talking about. It's like when people talk about devolved corruption, the depth of that corruption and the impact it has on the citizens for whom devolution was set in place and in motion is now brought to the fore. So you understand where your pain has gone, because the pain involves money that was intended for certain things and never got there. So when there's an audit and ESC is hitting them, I am a happy man.
You're like, hallelujah.
No,
kaende.
It is mega hallelujah with an amen.
We get to the bottom of it.
Yes, and if these people are found culpable, may they be given scholarships, please.
To the government institutions.
Yes,
known as committee.
Please.
Kodiaga.
Please.
Shimo la Tewa.
Please.
Langata.
Embu maximum. Okay.
Kuna kwanga na Embu maximum.
Iko.
Okay.
Manyani pia kuna jela mali unaweza kupeleka huko maximum. It's in the middle of nowhere. Don't even bother. If you want to escape, you escape. You'll meet lions.
They have natural
they are not even bothered.
Perimeters.
They have a wall and a fence, but if you want to escape, you just escape.
Hata askari anakupata pana kwenda kwenda. Aenda.
Stonane. You will come back. Anyway, then also in this particular star, there's a picture of President William Ruto, ODM leader Raila Odinga, and Kisii Governor Simbarati during a meeting with Gusii political leaders in State House. Matiang'i, Maraga, whatever it is you want to do, this meeting tells me you're not going very far.
Do you think so?
I know so.
What if you are underestimating this individual?
There's nothing to underestimate. The politics of this country begins with a support base. I keep repeating this so you must understand it.
Yeah.
When you see the former DP making the sort of noises he's making, postulation, he understands it. If he doesn't have a support base, he cannot have a conversation. He cannot join with any group. Joining them to do what? To wave flags. You must come with a constituency.
Yeah.
You must. If you have a reputation like Martha Karua, that's your constituency. You have a political party that you also had, but you are known. You are known to be someone who stands for certain things. You are known. These two gentlemen, I've made a full statement there. Even you've made a full statement.
Yeah. Wale wanajua.
Yeah, kama unajua. Kama hujui, hujui.
But I feel like they have 2 years to go and to actually appeal to a constituency.
Which one?
The one that they will decide on.
You have to start with the constituency that speaks your language, chief.
Acha nikwambie kitu moja, na mimi nakwambia kwa sababu maybe kuna kitu watu hapa hawaelewi. You keep on saying that there's a constituency here that is untested, and that's the youth constituency. And right now everyone is like, okay, fine, Gen Z, what is the mpango, because they're tribeless, leaderless, and all those other lesses. But do you know that there is some organization going on? Organizing, rather.
May it continue.
Some mobilizing happening. Sijui kama unajua hivyo City Muga. The same way we woke up on the 25th of June 2024, something unprecedented happened in this country.
Yes.
Yeah? And no one saw it coming. Literally, City. Hakuna mtu aliamka hiyo siku ama even 2 days before, or even the day before akasema walai kesho Nairobi CBD kitu mtaona. Hakuna mtu alikuwa nadhani kutakuwa hivyo venye tuliona. We had seen Baba organizing rallies and Baba organizing maandamanos and whatever's protests, but we have never seen Baba hata mlikuwa mnajua alikuwa anasema it's going to happen next week siku fulani, na mnangoja na mnaiona na mnasema wamepitia Kibra wakatokezea sijui wapi wakachapwa na tear gas. Hiyo story ikaisha. Walidhani itafanyika hapa, ikafanyika hii side nyingine inaitwa nini, Outer Ring Road. Mbona venye kulikuwa noma. But here Gen Z, and they didn't just do it once, City Muga, they did it 1 2 3 4 5 6, imefika mahali hata tumeacha count, because last year we had several protests, several people died. This year we had several, and they keep on becoming bigger and bigger with every single time they are happening. City Muga, by the time unaona mtu ana breach parliament, si mtu but watu wana breach parliament, it's not a constituency to ignore. And Nani has said it, what's his name, former CJ Maraga, he said that is the constituency he wants to deal with, and I feel like he seems to have known something that we do not know.
Maraga is entering an arena that he is not very familiar with, the political arena. This man has been a lawyer all his life.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Say what you want to say.
Right now, there's nothing like someone entering into a place he doesn't know, because even the youth got into a space they didn't know.
You see,
and it is now, they are now actually being very active in politics. Yeah?
May they continue being active.
Yes.
One of the things that human beings don't do very well is changing midstream. When I say this group is not tested, it is because we have not seen what they will do in an electoral arena. We've seen them mobilizing. When you say they're still mobilizing, I agree with you.
Yeah.
But to what end? They can't even agree on the support they would give an individual. There's a guy called Boniface Mwangi.
Yes.
Who is youthful. Boniface Mwangi has earned his stripes. There are people like Martha Karua who speak and represent certain ways of looking at life. There are people like Jimmy Wanjigi who talk about change, which they assume and talk about will be brought about by simply managing our resources responsibly and paying our debts responsibly and refusing to pay which we do not need to pay. It's not as though we don't hear voices that are different. But at the end of these conversations, there is a voting process. Now that voting process is something we don't understand with reference to how this group of people will participate.
You know what? In the next hour, we actually have an expert on matters human resource, and we're going to focus on Gen Zs, to be specific, in the workplace. So if you want to join that conversation, remember, Radio Gen KE is where you can find us across all our socials, Radio Generation Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, and our WhatsApp line is 0116 928 683. That is 0116 928 683. Let's get this conversation going.
The sound is fine, pump it up, turn it high, all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has revealed that persons of interest have been identified over the killing of lawyer Chalo Mbobo. Mbobo was killed in a drive-by shooting along Nairobi's Magadi Road on Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. Speaking in Migori County on Thursday during the 38th Jukwaa la Usalama Forum, the CS said the Directorate of Criminal Investigations had made significant progress in the matter. The CS also called on Kenyans to volunteer information on the drive-by shooting incident.
I am happy to note that there is some progress that has been made. Some persons of interest have been identified, that those persons of interest are being interrogated, and many others are going to be sought. I pray that the DCI is going to be successful We thank the eyewitnesses who have already come out, who are in the scene, and many other Kenyans of goodwill who are giving information to the DCI. I encourage more Kenyans to come forward and assist in the process. Anybody who knew anything that is related to this very heinous act to come out.
Agikuyu elders from Kiambu County have expressed frustration over what they term decades of neglect in resolving historical land injustices. Speaking at the Lands Disputes Office in Nairobi, they lamented that some members have died after nearly 10 years of moving from one office to another in search of compensation without success. They further decried that their quest for justice keeps being shuffled from one commission to another with no resolution.
It seems the commission does not have goodwill in this matter or in these claims, because they have been telling us that they are going to give us determination, because all what now remains is determination.
Cases of historic injustice have no time limitation. Be aware that this generation is following up. Even if you don't do justice to them at this hour, it will be followed thereafter by generations after generations.
Police in Kapsabet, Nandi County have arrested 3 suspects after intercepting a vehicle ferrying 1,375 litres of suspected ethanol. The suspects who were arrested during an operation on Wednesday are in police custody and are expected to face charges in court. Officers secured both motor vehicle and the seized ethanol at Kapsabet police station as exhibits.
Upon searching, we managed to recover around 1,500 litres of ethanol, which we believe is restricted material as per Section 200D, as read with Section 210 of the East Africa Custom Management Act. We are warning members of public that ethanol is a lethal liquid that is used in making second-generation alcohol. Second-generation alcohol has done a lot of havoc to our youth, and we are doing all we can to ensure that the second-generation alcohol does not get to this community.
The Constitutional Implementation Oversight Committee, chaired by Suba South MP Karoli Omondi, has called on the government to adopt clean cooking energy solutions across the country's correctional facilities. This follows the committee's inspection tour of prisons in Kilifi County, where reliance on firewood for cooking remains widespread. Omondi said the continued use of firewood contributes to deforestation, environmental degradation, and health risks for both inmates and staff. The former president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro, has been sentenced to 27 years and 3 months in prison after being found guilty of plotting a military coup. A panel of 5 Supreme Court justices handed down the sentence just hours after they had convicted the former leader. They ruled he was guilty of leading a conspiracy aimed at keeping him in power after he lost the 2022 election to his left-wing rival Lula da Silva. 4 of the justices found him guilty, while 1 voted to acquit him. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
A very good morning to you and welcome back to Radio Generation. It is now 7 minutes past 7 o'clock. Karibu tena sana. If you just joining us for the first time, well, this is your home for hard truths and bold insights. And the name of the show is The People's Breakfast, which, by the way, is our hashtag. You have any comments or compliments, or you would like to contribute to the conversations that we're having here? Our WhatsApp line is 0116-928-683. You can also find us across all social media spaces at Radio Gen KE, on TikTok, on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Twitter, yani popote pale. Just look for Radio Generation na utatupata pale tukikaa wasupute na sana. Kwanza CT Muga, I don't know what he has done to his white hair today. Sijui kama amepaka calcit ama namna gani. But anyway, hiyo ni story baadaye. Right now though, sijampatia nafasi ya kurespond. Juu ninajua kinyanataka kusema. We have our guest in studio. She's a HR consultant, and today we want to talk about how to get it right with the Gen Z population at home and in the workplaces. Maureen Mutia. Maureen, a very good morning to you and welcome to Radio Generation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I see ni kama ulipata memo ya company colors, station colors, no kama that's the way to go.
Nimewa surprise.
Yeah, we surprise.
Yes.
Asante sana. We may accept your surprise. But welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
People are nowadays very much focused on the Gen Z population. Like 2-3 years ago, it's like this population didn't exist. Then suddenly, boom! After last year, everything is about the Gen Zs now.
That's very true.
Yeah.
We've had them for a while. We just got to know them because of a few incidences here and there in a couple of years. But they've been there. They've done a good job. They are different from us. They're different from what we used to know in the workplace. Used to be 8 to 5 kind of people. But there are people who want to come, do what they need to do, and leave.
Yeah.
So it's a group of people that we need to now start internalize and then be able to now to work with them in a smart way.
Right.
Because that's what they want to do.
Work in a smart way.
Work in a smart way. I'll give you an example. There was a document that I was producing that had very, very many people, and we needed to now just isolate a couple of people. And I told these Gen Zs, I want you guys to just be able now to verify this data.
Okay.
And the funniest thing is, they told me, just give us 30 minutes. We think about it first before we start working on it. I was like, what?
We think about it.
We think about it, yeah.
Okay.
And when they thought about it, they came out with a formula that actually made the entire process so seamless and easy. Something that we would have done in 2 days, we did it in 45 minutes. After the formula was actually done.
After they came up with this formula.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they are very innovative. That's what I understand.
Innovative, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We work with a couple of them
here
at Radio Generation.
Yeah.
I find them to be cool peeps. You know,
they are very cool.
Very interesting individuals. Nasati tumeachana nao sana kimiaka. But of course, there's some things I will hear them say, talk, do, and I look at it, I'm like, hey. But at the end of the day, that's them, and I'm okay with it. I actually find them to be very interesting, to be a very interesting lot.
They are very interesting, both at work and home, because they are the kind of people who will tell you as is. Before, we used to think, this is the boss, we have to be very careful with what we say. They'll tell you as is. They'll be so blunt.
Yeah.
And
but why are they like that though?
I think it's the generation, the culture where they've come from. Because when we were bringing them up, we didn't bring them up the way we were brought up.
Yeah,
I'm sure, Mbuvi, when you're being brought up, it was so chaotic. You'd not say something.
Oh, you have no idea.
Yeah,
our house was like Beirut.
I know, mine too.
Ile vita iko Gaza saizi. Hiyo ndio vita ilikuanga kwetu.
Kwetu Gaza was even small, kulikuwa kubaya. And my mom would beat you sleeping, but with a belt.
She would wake you up with a belt.
The eye will tell you, ile kiboko itatoka leo, my friend. You're going to go down.
Mimi nilikuwa naambiwa enda nje jichagulie kiboko rudi kwa nyumba nikuchape nayo. And the idiot in me would go and do it.
And then when you bring one that does not meet the standards, anachomwa yake. Na nakwambia itakuwa lethal. It was bad.
By the way, do you know how this came about?
The beating.
Well,
tell us it, because you are that generation that traumatized us.
Yes.
How did this come about?
Well, if you look at how generations are influenced and the parenting skills, you will find that There's a generation that will mimic the manner in which they were brought up.
Yes.
Then there's a generation that will want to move away as far as possible from the way they were brought up.
Yes.
And their children will reflect this.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you look at what we're referring to as the Gen Z, they were brought up by parents who did not want to bring up their children the way they were brought up.
Yes.
Okay. And these parents forget that whatever successes they have are as a result of the discipline
from the
that they got.
But you want to tell me, City, this thing is happening across the globe?
No.
Because they tend to have similar traits
across the globe. It's African parenting.
Okay.
We are clear about who is the adult and who is the child. We have clarity there.
Yeah.
There's nothing like a small adult. You are a child, I am the adult. Okay? This confusion of the West that is young adult, forget it. Okay?
Kuna mtoto na mtu mzima, period.
And this is my house. Me and my wife. You are the children. Okay?
Yes.
Now, in this house, we have rules. And they are our rules. The rules that you want, when you get your house, you create those rules. But so long as you live here, this is how you are going to go about it. But what isn't spoken of loudly, as you grew older, the rules changed, the rules relaxed. And when you proved you are responsible, the harshness that you once saw more or less disappeared.
Yeah.
But do you realize that if, depending on what number you are in the family, like the last borns, we never went through what
No, the
we went
parents were
through.
tired.
Oh, they were tired because of us.
But we were many.
Yeah, that's true.
By the time you get to number 6, U7, in fact, the elder children, you.
Actually, yes. The firstborn now becomes the parent.
Actually, children co-parented. They helped their parents parent.
True.
In fact, when you're many, you suddenly found, remember this collective responsibility where one person makes a mistake and all of you are punished.
Yes.
The eldest,
we went through that.
Yes, exactly. But then you will find that when you're brought up in such a setup, you're actually very close to your siblings.
Yeah.
You know, my youngest daughter is 6. Do you know we usually have conversations like adults?
Yeah.
Like anambia, Papa umenikosea, Papa you've hurt my feelings, and I'm looking at this small thing and and I'm asking myself, how would I have ever done this with my parents?
Have you ever seen how your mother treats this girl?
Oh yeah. Anampenda sana.
Precisely. And do you tell your daughter,
they're like age mates.
Don't be fooled by this person. This person was a terror.
She's lethal. She's a terrorist.
I always told my children, do not be fooled. This woman rained on us like a nonsense. You know, it was bad.
So now, Gen Zs, coming back to these folks, so then how do we adapt to dealing with them? Because I feel like something needs to be done.
Why must we adapt to dealing with them? Why don't they adapt to the situations they find?
No, but every time, like in organizations, when there's change, we always go through change management training to adapt to the new situation.
And do we really change, even though we go through that training?
City, we do. Some percentage works. Yeah. And then with time, we come to adapt. Yeah. You cannot say, let me tell you, we do. And this, what we need to understand is there's been different generations here. Yeah. There's a generation of CT where he would not have employed me with my sister locks. He will be like,
by the
go
way,
shave your hair, come back looking like a nice girl.
CT and my mom, same WhatsApp group.
Exactly.
Malena dreadlocks. Hata thali zo nini sister locks, but yes.
Yeah, so
just pause for a second.
Yeah.
Which century do you think I was born in?
I just said CT and my mom, same WhatsApp group.
Yeah. So which century do you think we were born in?
The 19th century.
That's why you're wrong.
I don't want to badly say 19th. Ningeenda way back.
Way back. You're just being polite.
Yes.
City pole sana. I did not say it.
Why does it? So, like you said, change management. Are you trying to say that now we need to also undergo change management for these folks, or they go under change management?
we do, because this is the generation that is coming to take over.
Okay.
Yeah, and we need to be able to understand that these people have different work styles. Most of organizations will say work between 8 to 5, but are we actually working between 8 to 5, or are we seated behind our desks on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, doing something just to be seen there? Yeah, we need to actually start giving people tasks with deliverables and say, this is what you need to do and this is when we need it by. so that by the time this person is actualizing what they're supposed to be doing, we are aligned with the organization goals, and the vision. Let them understand what is our vision. Allow them to be innovative. Allow them to be able to contribute, because what we've done in the recent past is tell people what they need to do, instead of telling them this is where we want to be. How are we going to get there? They might actually have better ideas than us. And that's why we need now to put our ideas, their ideas, merge them, and then produce something amazing. That is one. Two, we need to also understand their lifestyle. I'm telling you, these people, they are party goers, but we all did that. The only thing is, we did not have internet and smartphones to actually record what we were doing. To
document it.
Exactly. So we need to now realize this has just been documented because they have cameras, smartphones, they have internet bundles, and they're able now to go live and do a few things here and there.
And sorry,
sometimes I get the impression that parents of Gen Z's hero worship these children. They marvel at the freedoms these people have. It's like they wish they
had the same freedoms.
Yes, because when we speak of them, we sometimes speak of them as though they're aliens who are just visiting us briefly.
And then they leave.
Yes, as opposed to being children, you've seen, from the time they were born, you've been seeing them growing. In fact, you are responsible for the influences they have in their lives. You actually are responsible for it. The manner in which you have treated them, the way you brought them up. You see, the differences that we speak of have existed in every age with every generation. Okay? It's a gap that has been spoken of, and there are those who argue it doesn't exist. But it's always there. When Maureen was young, there was an age at which she believed her parents didn't understand her. We all go through it.
Yes.
And then you grow older, and the conflict begin to ease off as you begin to understand. The moment you have responsibility, you start thinking differently. When you have children, you change completely, because you now begin to understand what your parents were talking about. It happens with every generation. The information age is what is the huge difference. The ease of access to information, but it has come with drawbacks. Because information is readily available and there's a lot of it, it crowds out things that could be important, and you're spoiled for choice as to what it is that could actually be useful. And your mind gravitates towards something that is more pleasurable and less taxing. So the generation tends to be identified with that. And when you talk about job creation, there's always this discussion around what it is that young people do. But it's the same mind, same mind that creates this entertainment. It's the same mind that, and this flexibility, which if brought to bear on a workplace, can produce fantastic results. Same mind. And then there's the fundamental change with respect to what we refer to as traditional discipline, and how they believe they ought to be related to. Okay? In all this, they're not really different from all the other ages, except one. There's a short attention span that is characteristic of this generation. It manifests as impatience, but a lot of it has to do with what they consume and how they consume it. I'm brought up to read newspapers, to read books, so I have no problem sitting down with 1,000 book pages, a book with 1,000 pages, and I know I'm going to read 40 pages today. And compared to somebody who wants to read 2 lines, that is information for them, and that is news. And the details, they're not really interested. The mind is trained and can be curated to behave in a certain manner. If you train your mind to be accustomed to that sort of reception when it comes to information, that will reflect in how you go about your business. You don't want anything that keeps you strained for long hours. You don't. You want something that you do and it's finished. Unfortunately, on this planet, very few things actually work that way. Very few. For instance, wealth isn't created instantaneously. It never is.
Unless, of course, you gamble.
Even if you gamble,
even gambling, you have to gamble a couple of times
before you
yes, even if there is nothing to understand it. Just look at our growth process from the time we human beings, from the time we are among the animal kingdom. most children are born and within a few minutes they're walking. Us, it takes us a hell of a long time before we can even stand. Our growth process is what tells you of how our process and systems work. When you see something working, what you don't see is what has happened to make it work.
Yeah.
Now, if you have a short attention span, you'll want that thing to work in an instant. It never does.
So mi swali langu basi Morini hili.
Yeah.
Because I asked earlier on, are we the ones to adapt to them or them to adapt to us? And City was like, why are we adapting to them?
I asked
why?
the question. I didn't. The gruff voice in which I asked the question does not mean that I don't think we should adapt to them. We actually should.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I want to understand Maureen's perspective.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me move you away from the workplace and tell you. Okay, all my kids are Gen Zs, but in different levels. But my eldest has a group of friends. He works with a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I realized was some of these kids, we don't get that kind of attention at home.
Yeah.
They don't sit, they don't talk, they don't express themselves. Something that when we were growing up, we were not allowed to. Yeah. So
just for clarity, we're not allowed to do what exactly? To express ourselves?
To express ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah. You remember that kiboko you used to go and look for? It was because you tried to explain something and you're told just shut up. The eye actually would tell you this is when you don't say anything.
Right.
Yeah. So we developed a lunch on Sundays. Yeah. Remember Sundays when we were growing up used to be a family time.
Yes.
Where we used to go sit. Mzee would be there with his newspaper and we'll all get Fanta oranges and there's a cuckoo that is going to come with chips. But there was that family unity where people would sit, siblings would talk, mother would be there, yeah. And then we are lacking that now because as parents we are on a fast pace, yeah, trying to look for money, trying to do this and this, and then we've forgotten there's a generation here that needs attention. So
that needs parenting.
Exactly. So what we do Sunday lunches where we come, we cook, and you're not being cooked for. You will chop those onions, you will dice that meat, and we will all cook and talk.
Yeah.
And not my children now. They come like 20 of them. Yeah. So we talk. What was our week's goals? What did we deliver? Yeah. What were our failures? Yeah. Where do we want to go next week? What is this that you really want to do? Why do you want to do it? Yeah. Ask them those questions so that they start now internalizing that and start actualizing what they think. And because they know next weekend we're going to have this conversation where we say, you talk, we don't judge you. Yeah. And from that we pray. So they realize when they come for the Sunday lunches, one of the first things they'll say, we've not prayed. Can we pray? Can we now sit? We play games. And some of them will tell you very deep things that you wonder, that parent did not know this child was going through this. Yeah? Or that parent did not know that all they needed to do was show up for this concert or this play or what this child was performing. And it's brought a very good bond. And I can tell you sometimes my own kids are not at home.
Yes.
But those kids show up and they'll be calling my son Miles, Milo, next Sunday, can you please put me on the list? Because I'm like, it has to have a limit.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's going to be ungovernable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Parliament.
Kabisa.
Mta need standing orders.
I know. But when you reach them at that level, you actually realize they're just like you and me. Yes.
But Maureen, just go back to the story of your life and what your parents did.
Yes.
The foundation was laid.
It was.
You saw it was something that happened, so you actually know it.
Yeah.
You may not think that you are learning, but something you observe over time, you're learning it and you're internalizing it.
Very
and
true.
for you, it's not unusual. And with time, without even voicing it, you know the benefits. Okay. Now, the unfortunate thing, there are people who are parents who didn't go through that.
Yeah.
So they actually don't know. What you see them doing and what represents a lack of understanding has to do with what they know.
Yes.
Or the gaps they have in their lives.
Yeah.
Now, children help you grow as a parent or as an adult. Now, I'm going to say this on air because it's tricky, but I have to say it.
Yes.
Marriage also helps you grow.
Yes.
I'm talking to men now.
Yeah.
Men assume that marriage is meant to make you happy. It's not. Marriage is for growth.
Yeah.
Also, we just stick there.
It is for growth.
No matter how difficult it is.
You will be happy, but the happiness has to, you will derive it from what you see happening within your family.
Yeah.
If you have a spouse and she's happy and your children are happy, you will be happy.
Okay.
But this joy and happiness that you find in the movies, that thing doesn't exist.
Okay.
Very true.
It's completely fake.
It's a script.
It's a script, and that is why movies are good, because it appeals to a certain part of the brain that is triggered and is stimulated by certain things. The reality isn't that. The reality is tragedy, a repetition of things that you do every day, and every once in a while there's a pleasant result that comes out of it.
Yeah.
No parent knows how the children are going to turn out.
No.
You just try your best, but you have
and hope for the best.
You pray.
Yes.
Don't hope. You never know how they're going to turn up. Now, when the children talk about the things that are happening in their lives, and their children who have other parents, the truth of the matter is this: that child is actually telling you about the gap that their parents have in their own lives.
Exactly.
Because the same thing that they're talking about, that parent probably, if it was they were presented with it, they honestly would not know what to do.
Yeah.
Now, because they're a grown up and they're African, they'll pretend they know what to do, and actually they do not know what to do. See, this idea that there's this understanding of what the magical parenting is. Once your children grow up, they help you grow up, because you grow with your children.
Yeah.
Just relating to them helps you broaden your own horizon.
Yeah.
With time. Now, the modern lives we live, which are characterized by urbanization,
right,
distorts this concept that Africans had for the longest time, because the community that you belonged to was readily available in a traditional setting.
Yeah.
Now you have to create that community. You can have siblings in the same town, but you don't see each other every day.
Very
So
true.
the community has to be the people you live around. Now, the differences in values with the people you live next to are also a process of growth and understanding. We tend to stick to values that we've learned over time that we find beneficial. And yet I feel the values that we have difficulties with are the ones we need to give more attention. Because there's a reason why we resist those values. Now, modern thinking allows you to dismiss certain things easily, because the me culture tells you that because it doesn't agree with me, that culture is useful only up to a very small point. Throughout our lives on this planet, you are relating to other people. So the need to actually have a part of you that focuses on understanding other people is crucial. And this is where the Gen Z come in, because they are characterized also by that me culture.
Yeah.
They don't extend that understanding beyond maybe one or two friends. Everybody else might as well not exist. And yet we do exist.
Very true.
Also on the issue of identity.
Yeah.
Because right now we're having Gen Z say the way they are tribeless, they are partyless, and I guess it's because of that community they have as far as social media is concerned.
Yeah.
Because they no longer see themselves as we used to. Chances are, maybe growing up, your grandmother, your parents told you you need to marry from your tribe.
Yeah.
Because this other tribe is like this. Oh, kuna tribe ya wachawi, kuna tribe ya watu wachafu, kuna tribe ya wezi, kuna tribe ya, so. At the end of the day, you find your parents or your community is telling you stick to your community. But these guys, they know none of that, and it's a good thing in the long run. But are they losing their identity as well in this whole situation?
From a cultural background, I would say yes, they are. But the integration is very good, because right now we don't have that tribalism flag that we used to have. Yeah, most of them, you'd actually speak to them in their mother tongue and they have no idea what you've just said.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And they'll be able to relate with somebody from a different tribe as a brother. And I think that's a very good thing, because we've really struggled with that. And when you look at different African countries, they've struggled with you're from this tribe, or when they were fighting, it was this tribe against this tribe. And even during our elections,
Yep.
it used to be like that. But going forward, honestly speaking, we are going to be electing people on performance irrespective of where you come from.
Niliambia CTV wakasema ni uongo.
City itafanyika.
Nope, it won't.
Itafanyika.
It won't.
City
We can
ananiambia
bet.
hapa Mbovi itafika siku ya election. Saizi mko tribeless, saizi mko partyless. Lakini siku ya election you will vote for your tribe mate.
I don't think so.
Oh, believe me, they will.
That one, let's bet money, City, and come back here and
Na
say.
hiyo pesa ya maana, si.
See 1,000.
No, I don't want that this is at CT. Let's bet 500 bob. If you want to bet.
We put proper money.
But look, the concept of tribe, that as we understand it, a lot of it has been influenced by the colonialist perspective,
Yeah.
which essentially was to divide us and divide and conquer, as they used to say.
Yes.
And to make us believe that everything that we held as valuable was actually backward and retrogressive. Psychologists and the research around psychology and the workings of the human brain have stated conclusively over and over that one of the many things about the brain that is actually interesting to observe is when an individual speaks a language, more than one language, the development of their brain acquires a diversity that makes it able to do far more things than most things can.
Yes.
There are Kenyans who locally will not do well. They go abroad, they flourish.
Yes.
They call them late bloomers. But I attribute it to the fact that most Kenyans speak 3 languages.
Yeah.
Most Kenyans. Of a sudden, 3 languages. Without batting an eyelid, you grow up speaking 3 languages.
Yes.
If you throw in Sheng, it's 4 languages. How complex do you think those minds are? Because even as we're sitting here, we can actually speak 3 languages at the same time.
Yeah.
And we can interconnect them in the course of speaking. You only realize this when you have other people who don't speak your language. Maze, tunaongea nini hapa? Tubonge something
Like
about
me and Buvi can go.
Yes, you can actually go.
We can go primordial.
Yes.
You can go Kitui on it. You see, but at the same time,
Yes.
Kiswahili will come in,
Yes.
English will come in.
You'll pick something.
My friend, believe me, Kenyans do it. Now, let's look at our relatives in the West. It's one language.
Yeah.
The ones who try are those Slavs who've had their issues. They've come to places like England, so they have their own language. It's 2.
Yes.
Us, we are 3.
Minimum.
Starting point is 3. An African is a superhuman being. It's just that we are told we are not.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
We are.
No, I agree.
It's true.
I agree.
In this, if you look at how the African has influenced the places they've gone to over time, the influence, by the way, is minimized, and you think it's a 20th and 21st century thing. No, it is not. The development of places like Spain and Portugal, if you look at it historically, the Moors came from Morocco, Algeria. A lot of that civilization in places like Andalusia in Spain and so forth, that civilization that you speak of, the architecture that you speak of, it is these people who actually took it there. That's a story for another day. But the point I'm trying to make is this. When you understand that speaking a language that is different from someone else's is actually diversity, not an identity-related problem.
Yeah.
Okay? And it is not new. We've been intermarrying for the longest time.
Very true.
Longest.
Yeah.
Okay? You only need to look at your relatives and you'll realize, here, we are diverse here. And nobody told you to think differently. The discussion around tribes and the harmful nature of it is political in this country.
Yes.
It's purely political.
Yeah.
Our neighbors in urban areas, and most areas are becoming urbanized, believe me, the people closest to us have no relation to us biologically. They do not speak our language, and they are people who we consider our best friends. It's really that simple. So we don't really need someone to tell us that it's what we do. It's what we've been doing. When we take children to school, do we ask which tribes are in that school? We don't.
No.
When you hail a taxi, do you ask the taxi driver where they come from? No, you're not even bothered. If it's these apps, you even see the name of the person. It never bothers you.
Actually, you don't even get to read the name.
It
You
never
read
hits
the
you.
number plate.
Yes, exactly. So I'm saying it doesn't bother you.
Yes.
So when people tell you it's a problem, it actually isn't. There are people who benefit from making it a problem. All right? To understand it, look at places where people have commonality. These leafy suburbs of this wonderful city of ours. That issue doesn't exist. The less leafy suburbs on the eastern part of this town, it doesn't exist. It exists in theory in urban areas. Why? Because those communities are predominantly one language speaking communities.
Yeah.
But even among them, you'll find other people who don't speak the language and they live there. And some have lived there generationally. So where is this problem that people keep speaking of?
Okay, I think that is developed, as you're saying, because of some people who want to benefit from it.
Yes.
But when you look at this generation, to be honest, and you go to social places where they normally hang out, there are different places you'll find them. You'll find all tribes there. You're actually the only person who will be wondering, that's a Kikuyu, that's an Indian, that's a Luya, that's a Kamba. But they actually sit there and hang out.
Yeah.
I'm hanging out with City. You'll ask, Mbuvi, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to hang out with City. You're like, who's City?
Yeah.
They will not actually tell you City comes from where. They have
City
no
is
idea.
a Luo guy.
They have no idea.
Yeah.
And they actually interact honestly. Yeah?
They do, but Maureen, think back to the time when you were youth. You see, the problems that we refer to as tribal problems are problems that we see in rural communities where the bulk of our population is. And I said, you grow up with people who are around you who speak the same language as you, and they're probably all your relatives.
Yes.
Okay? So that's how you are accustomed to viewing the world through their lenses.
No, I even feel
Actually, not true, Mbuvi. Let me tell you, City. Remember what Mbuvi said. When you are growing up, you would be told, by the way, I saw you interacting with that boy. Just know, our families, historically, were not friends. Walitusaliti kimaumau, sijui nini, nisikuone na huyo msichana. You understand?
Yes.
But
it
as
was
parents,
it was not tribal.
It was.
No.
Because as Kambas, we used to be told, wewe nakuona na Mkikuyu. Mkikuyu hawezi penda Mkamba. Kuna kitu anataka kwako. Na akipata, atatembea.
Maureen.
Bubi, is that true or false?
It's true.
Maureen.
It was.
Actually, inasemekananga that if you end up with a Kikuyu, she will take all your property.
Since we are talking,
And you used to be told by grandmothers.
And she will live with all your kids.
Yes. And your
childless.
grandmother knew how many Kikuyus? How many had she met?
I don't know.
Precisely. It was a narrative that had been passed down.
But it doesn't change the fact that it exists.
It existed.
I think-
But right now, it does not
I
exist.
think you're missing the point I'm trying to make. You're supporting what I'm saying because I said in the rural areas, when people speak a similar language,
Yes.
there are certain narratives that will be easily believed because they've been passed down and that's what people accept.
Yes.
Remember, if we're talking tribe, you're talking to a Luo here. Yeah. What do you think the traditional views are about Kikuyus? Yeah. And if you talk to a Kikuyu of my age and ask them, what do you think they'll tell you are the traditional views about educations that we've had? And by the way, the government we had from independence understood this.
Yeah.
And that is why civil servants, you were always posted somewhere as far away as possible from
Very
where
true.
you came from.
Yes.
They understood it.
Yeah.
So they knew this one, we need to kill this thing. It's not going to help us very much. The unfortunate thing is our politics always brings it up.
Back.
And
Yeah.
you see that's the thing. That's
Yes.
the problem.
No, that's not a problem.
It is a problem.
Why?
Because when they bring it up, hawailetangi na uzuri.
Yeah, but mtu akileta kitu bwana, unajua ategemea. Sasa wewe ikiwa utaamini kila matamshi yote ambayo mtu ambaye anaongea lugha yako anakuambia, sasa mjinga ni nani?
But you see, the reason why these people are actually leaders and they are our leaders is because they have certain influences over us.
Actually, no.
It is they listen, City.
No.
Situ sikatange kila kitu.
No, sikatai. I'm actually just looking at the leaders we have.
Yeah.
Start Raila Odinga, Kalonzo Musyoka, William Ruto. These people don't have any influence. Believe me, it's people who decide this is our person.
Yes.
It is because if you ask yourself, but what have they even done? There's nothing you can point to say, well, you want to fanya hii na hii na hii na hii. No. People decide huyu atakuwa wetu. And once they decide, it is very difficult to dislodge because logic was not involved in that person being where they are. Because at the time, the people were choosing them. There were other people they could have chosen.
But
they didn't choose those people.
You agree with me that right now, the population that we're calling Gen Zs are not going to be easily influenced on tribal lines.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are not going to. They are not going to, because I'll tell you, a majority of them, go and try and speak to them in their mother tongue. City, they cannot respond a whole sentence.
So they believe the mother tongue is a problem.
No, you see, the tribal thing is gone.
It's reference to the mother tongue.
And the parents, now, see where City. Sasa, ask the parents.
Mzungu has won.
Ngoja kidogo City.
No,
See,
the parents who are the current parents, who's us, yeah, don't speak to them, telling them, you know, that is a Kikuyu, this is what a Kikuyu does, this is, no. We are like, oh, City is your friend. Oh, say hi. You come meet City. City brings the parents. You get to realize, oh, kumbe the parents are Luo. And that does not affect that child whatsoever.
Oh, you think so?
It doesn't.
You know, we have an election 2027.
Yes.
We shall test this.
We'll have this discussion with you.
Yes.
But
do not ever underestimate the influence that parents have on their children, ever. You see, at some age and some point, we all react against the influences of our parents. Then we start getting older, and we start thinking and understanding things in a particular way. See, I'm focusing on the peculiarities of communities.
Yeah.
When tribalists, the negative promoters of tribalism, promoted that diversity and that difference as something negative, that is what is passed on.
Actually, on that note, I want to read something that has been written by a viewer here. This is Sonnet Anasema, good morning, thank God it's Friday. As we get older, we tend to reflect our parents. You say to yourself, I sound just like my mom or dad. And then Nobat amesema anawish angezaliwa 19th century kama wewe. And then good morning, British Caribbean anasema following the conversation. And then kuna mtu hapa amesema there's a comment actually. Oh yes, here it is. I cannot quite relate, as my parents brought us up to express ourselves as children and always ask questions. If you don't understand or know. Robinson Mutisa anasema, I concur about a tribeless nation. However, there is a big gap between the poor and the rich. Middle class is growing in poverty created by high interest plus extortion. Si ukabila ni mipango mbovu. Yeah, they're saying, this particular viewer is actually saying that it's not necessarily to do with tribes, it's just our politics. But I think our politics also emanate from our tribes and how we conduct businesses from the community level, and that's how they get to the national level.
That person is right. If you look at the rot that keeps coming up in the counties, our counties are tribal.
Very.
So ukinyanyasa watu unanyanyasa watu wako. And our governors have proven they do it very effectively and very efficiently, and they do it relentlessly. So there's nothing tribal about it. You see, we aspire to be a nation where the tribalness that I look at is not the difference or an absence of diversity, but embracing that diversity and understanding how it makes us strong. Building on values so that you are proud to come from a community and to speak their language and to understand them, and yet it doesn't stop you from relating to other people.
Yes.
You come from a family where one parent comes from one community and the other. You have the unique opportunity of now speaking 4 languages instead of 3.
Yes.
Where your mom comes from, where your dad comes from, and the English and Kiswahili you're taught. That diversity is what makes a nation strong. If you look at the con that the colonizer sold us, their upper class know all their relatives up to the 11th century.
Yes.
It is you commoners who have this cocoon where, where it's a nuclear family and it is sold to you, so it's you and your children bas. Extended relatives akuna. Those fellows relate to their cousins in Sweden, the ones in Russia, the ones in God knows where. Now, they understand this importance. So, but to us it is sold that it's very important that you only think of you, your children, relatives are sometimes a bother. These are the people who give you identity. These are the people who add to your value.
Yeah.
And then someone is actually telling you that these are people we should get rid of, and we believe them when they tell us these things. Surely.
No.
It depends. And there's a point he has raised there about how we relate with our communities. Do you feel like the Gen Zs, especially the ones in Kenya, the ones in Nairobi, are they have the same feelings and sentiments as the one in, say, Pokot or Bomet. Because again, when it comes to relating with these individuals, I think we are focused more on the Gen Zs in urban areas Mombasa, Kisumu, and Nairobi, Nakuru. But tukienda deep in the bundus of Bomet, are we going to find them thinking and behaving the same way?
I think they're diverse, to be honest. And we go back to what City was saying. Depending on where you've been brought up from, that culture and the lessons taught there will still be with you long after you leave. So there's a difference between those people and us. But now, when you look at them from a point of view where we are saying nowadays the universities, you can be coming from Bomet, but you'll be sent to Bungoma, to the university there. That is also now trying to make sure there's an interaction between the different communities. You remember when City said when the civil servants used to be employed, they would be sent to diverse communities to make sure there's that interaction, and we kill that this is just one community that is operating from here. I think that is what the government has done in terms of the university slaughter locations. And that also brings out now different cultures into play. And then when these people study in different communities or counties, they go back home, they have some influence there. Because depending on where they are coming from, you call it bundus. When they go back,
the bundus.
I do not want to be quoted. It was Mbuvi who said that.
It's okay.
But now, when they go back, because they are educated from a community level, they bring back a lot of influence from what they learned out there. And they will come there and be the people that the community is looking up to try and revolutionize that community in terms of development and all those things. So let's say, as much as we are saying they're coming from that far end, the interactions that they are having with the urban communities is making them now understand. And the good thing, there's internet even in those places, and they're able to interact with their fellows, their peers, and they can see what is happening. Because when you talk about when Gen Zs were trying to demonstrate, they demonstrated from all corners of the country. It wasn't just the urban areas. So we are saying that they're speaking from the same script.
You know, the thing that differentiates the Gen Z, as we refer to them, and other generations is technology. Fundamentally, because they were born and have been raised up with the technology. The rest of us have painfully tried to adopt to technology. Do you know how difficult it is to move from a phone as something that you make calls to, something that you send money with, and then something that you speak to the way you like speaking to your phone, and you ask it a question and it actually gives you answers? That shift is actually profound, to the point where now we have something called AI. Okay, that is a understand this age and for whom this age is most relevant. It is their age. It is something that they understand fully and something they comprehend and something that they've adapted to. But amidst all these technological innovations and changes, there's something just called the human being, who is a social creature, who to thrive must relate to that human being. Now, technology runs interference with that relationship sometimes if it isn't checked. Not that it doesn't help you, it seeks to replace that relationship. How then do we deal with them now in the workplace, having all this information that we have?
Because I feel like Kenyan workplaces have not yet understood how to deal with this demographic.
I think all we need to do is ask ourselves, why do we have this employee? What are their deliverables? What's their job description? And have smart goals for them, and say, this is what I expect you to do, and give timelines.
Sasa ukipatana na HR ama CEO kama CT mwenye patience yake iko hivi na vitu zingine, sasa atawapatia time sana. Ata-adapt to the situation. Because I'm telling you, like that time I was being told, give me 30 minutes, I try and find a solution to this problem. Yes.
I was wondering, 30 minutes, si uchukue computer bana. You start crunching the numbers. But when I walked away, because sometimes I'm like CT, patients iko.
Yeah, temperatures are rising.
Mwili inachemka.
Yeah.
Uki walk away, uende urudi. Na upate huyo mtu amedeliver the first assignment. Wachana na huyo mtu afanye job yake. And I'm telling you, there's a time I was speaking to some of them and they were like, us, we want to work between Monday and Thursday.
That's it.
Friday,
happy.
Friday ni bonus bana. You know, but ukiangalia some NGOs or some organizations that we've worked in.
Yeah.
Fridays people used to work half day. So tuache kufikiria ni kama when they say Friday let's be flexible ni kitu kubwa. See, we have flexible working.
You know, Maureen, in countries where they actually make policies based on fact finding and research, France being one such country, they ask that, do people really work late?
No, they don't.
Average work. So they actually change. Yeah. 9. By 3 o'clock.
Na hapo katikati kuna lunch. 1 hour.
But you know there's some bosses who don't understand how I am paying you X amount of money every month for you to come for this. Yet he or she comes from a generation whereby you are paid much less, W amount a month, and you will come here 9 to 5.
Yes,
that
you know, not even 9, 8.
That W a month usually used to go a long way because the currency at that time had more value.
Yeah, yeah, but you get what I mean.
You know, I understand what you're saying, but you see, that particular mindset is what they were inducted into, and this is somebody who is not open to change. Just by what you've said, they don't see change as being necessary. It isn't the hours you work, it's what you do.
Exactly. Yeah. And that is what this generation is actually telling us. What am I supposed to do? Just give me. And by the way, when you embrace them, they get out of their box and will even tell you, Movie, by the way, I finished that assignment yesterday. So you give me 3 days, I did it in 1 day. So give me something else. But if you're that tough boss,
to give me something else,
they will.
Yes.
They will.
If you're giving me something else, add me money.
No. By the way, they are very accommodative. If you embrace them and stop looking at them as these people who just bring us trouble, they actually work. We have them in our offices.
Where did we start looking at the Gen Zs?
Because of that your misunderstanding. Gen Z anataka kufanya vitu hivi, lakini wewe una come from a time vitu leo zinafanyika differently. So yeye akifind a different way of skinning this cat, you get mad and you don't understand why he or she is not doing things the way you've told them to.
It isn't a Gen Z problem. It's a power dynamics problem that we have, where people in authority think and believe that their word should be law.
Yes.
Even in a democratic space like a workspace, someone tells you, I have said, and you're wondering, what are you talking about? You're not God. What do you mean you have said?
Yeah.
Okay? It's something you see over and over and over and over again. Now, when we refer to Gen Zs as them, it's like, again, we're stereotyping them because they represent a norm that is completely alien to what the way we have accustomed our minds to thinking. Okay? How many people are willing? Okay, let me give an example of, say, for instance, the media that we work in. You'll find that in legacy media, the people who get paid the most are the directors of different divisions and so forth. And some of these people forget that the media is actually, they thrive in the business of content. The content producers or the people who actually ensure that the business thrives are secondary tier in terms of consideration. The pen pushers at the top and the middle are the ones who are given the most consideration in terms of pay.
Yeah.
It is the norm in very many legacy media houses. If you look at the digital space and the communication space like say Safaricom, they had similar mindsets, but they changed. Why they changed is because they realized they're also content creating business. They realize that there are individuals who are very good at creating content, and if you don't reward them accordingly, they will leave. Intellectual property is in their heads. It's not in a wallet, it's not in a flash disk, it is in their heads. Okay? So you will find an individual who by any account is youthful, but that person is valued. If you knew what that person is paid, you'd gasp. They've understood this person is part of what drives this particular
organization.
business. So
Yeah.
that mindset, you see it pervasive in very many parts of our economy. Now, the Gen Z are content, they are focused. See, there's this thing, they understand, this thing I'm doing is for a purpose. See, I've achieved it.
Yeah.
So time is, as we have compartmentalized it, is no longer the focus. Here the focus is on time.
Delivery.
Yes, 8 hours. They're saying, yeah, we get it, but this thing we can do in 2 hours.
Yeah.
So what do you do in the other 6 hours? And why am I here? And the other 6, and I've done my work for the day.
Yes.
In fact, in 2 days I've done my work for the week.
Yes.
See? Now, for those who are used to this idea that time is of more importance than the actual content, these individuals will fight it. So it is, the discussion often is the fight that is going on.
So do I still get compensated for work I've done in 2 days that naturally would have taken a week?
But it's because the person is smart. So what they've done is they've come up with ideas, they've come up with technology to be able to deliver that. Yeah. I'll give you an example of a friend of mine who's telling me there's a PA for one of the directors. Every time she goes for a meeting, she has an app that will be recording the minutes, the meeting, and then within 30 minutes, the minutes are out.
Yeah.
So the director is always wondering, by the way, how do you manage this city?
Yeah.
And then the other directors are sending their PAs to her to learn how to do this. But she's like,
in record time.
This is my secret, man. You guys go there. I'm not going to tell you.
There's
But now-
intellectual property here.
Yes, she had to tell my friend, by the way, I use AI to develop that.
Yeah.
I have a 14-year-old and she knows everything politically that is happening, all the news in the world. She'll be the one telling me when I get home. And she doesn't read the newspaper.
She doesn't have to.
She goes online and she will be able to tell you in details.
Yeah.
Like, she'll be like, Mom, did you know that this was happening? I'm like, when? Yeah, it's here. She gives you a link.
Yeah, actually, I can give you a link that can also help you in that. It's called Morning Coffee. It takes news from all over the world, prioritizes it, and even can segment it into left-wing politics, right-wing politics, and it will tell you this is what the rest of the world is thinking about this particular situation, and it literally in a glance like this, you can tell whether there is some war in some random country that you never heard of, or you can tell if the US is planning to bomb you the next morning.
Yeah.
And these resources are there. So in conclusion, as we come to the end of the show, what is that one message you'd give employers today to understand, to at least have some kind of blueprint working with Gen Zs?
Let's get out of the box. Let's stop stereotyping people. Yeah, because that's discrimination, by the way. Yeah. Let's get to it is city. Let's get to a point where we actually understand people individually and be able to appreciate that there's this team that is able to bring innovation into our workplace and grow our economy.
Thank you so much. That has been Maureen Mutia. She's a HR consultant. Thank you so much for coming to Radio Generation. We are, of course, with City, the rebel without a cause. We shall be back shortly. But here is the news with Winnie Maganga.
8 o'clock.
Radio Generation, the sound is fine. Pump it up, turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Boda stages across Kenya will now be required to have a chairman who will be held accountable and even face arrest if riders under their watch engage in unlawful activities. This is part of new government measures aimed at tightening regulation of the sector. Riders will also undergo fresh registration to indicate their designated operating areas and will be required to wear distinct uniforms based on location. The new changes come after the signing of an agreement between the Boda Association of Kenya and the state to enable the implementation of new regulations targeting rogue boda riders.
There's no solidarity in the application of law. Law cuts to one individual. Boda moja huyu ndiye amegongwa. Why are we coming in solidarity? We want all to face law in solidarity. Law is an individual.
Now we'll start by mapping out the stages. After that, we'll roll out the registration. Make sure you are registered. If you will not be registered, my friend, pack your things and leave the boda sector. Kama gari itachomwa area yako, na nyinyi ndio watu wenye wanasimamia area, utakuwa na crackdown ya kushika each and everyone mwenye ako hapo, ndio mtutolee nani wamechoma hiyo gari.
Retired Chief Justice David Maraga has criticized the government for misusing the Prevention of Terrorism Act to target young activists demanding better governance. Maraga, who joined human rights activists in court during the hearing of 70 suspects arrested on June 25th anniversary and Sabasaba protest, urged the ODPP to withdraw what he described as baseless charges. The former CJ says the reason why the accused persons were being charged with those offences was for them to be detained.
You are radicalizing these young people. In fact, that is already a serious challenge to the country. You don't want to terrorize many young people. When they are at the end of the day released, having gone through all that, you can imagine what will be going on in their minds. We are saying, look, let the state, do its work properly and stop this issue of terrorizing young people.
A Nairobi-based Indian businessman accused of stealing 356 million Kenya shillings from a company where he served as the director allegedly used the money to establish and stabilize his own enterprise, a court heard on Thursday. Hani Katwani was arraigned in June over the alleged theft from Oki General Trading Limited. Testifying before Milimani's senior principal magistrate Dolphina Alego, complainant Deepak Rajoria claimed that Katwani diverted company funds to build his personal business.
This is the minute of the board and director of Oki General Trading.
Dated which date?
It's dated 8 January 2025.
8th January 2025.
Yes.
From the minutes?
Yes.
What was the decision of the company? From the minutes?
Decision of the company to aid me in the company as a director.
The decision was? Again?
Aid me as a director and shareholder. Appointed me.
Or you were appointed as a director?
Yes.
Shareholder.
President William Ruto has rolled out reversing Kenya's transition to a digital procurement system, insisting that the reform will bring transparency and accountability in the use of public funds. Ruto underlined the financial losses the country has suffered under manual procurement, saying up to 40% of public money disappears through irregular dealings. The head of state made the declaration on September 11th, 2025, during a State House meeting with Gusii leaders from Kisii and Nyamira counties.
Procurement of public services, we lose up to 40% of public money through procurement. And that is the reason why we have said we are going to go e-procurement so that everybody inajulikana. Hakuna haja ya giza. Kama wewe unatuuzia mali kama serikali, shida iko wapi kama wananchi wamejua umetuuzia kwa shilingi ngapi? All we are saying is if you sell something to government, let it be made public.
Manchester United goalkeeper Andre Onana has joined Trabzonspor on loan for the rest of 2025-2026 season. The move has taken place before the transfer window in Turkey closes today and follows the Cameroon international not playing in United's opening 3 Premier League games. Onana's only appearance for Ruben Amorim's side this season came in their shock Carabao Cup at the hands of League Two Grimsby. The 29-year-old was signed from Inter Milan for £47.2 million in July 2023. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the guests and do not necessarily reflect the views of Radio Generation. Radio Generation assumes no responsibility or liability for the interviewee's views. This is Radio Generation. In the beginning, there was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generation's The People's Breakfast, curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The People's Breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights, Radio Generation.
Oh, yes, indeed. Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. My name is Mungana Movie and the rebel without a cause. Okay, I'll stop saying it.
I do know you're referring to me. And the thing about it seems to make you happy. So please, don't stop on my account. Just continue.
But please. You know what, City? People are actually loving the conversations that we're having here. Hata kama nakuingilia. For instance, kuna Sonet anasema, I concur. CT always teaching to enhance our critical thinking skills. So hata ukiona nikikuingilia, I'm actually admiring you chini ya maji, or rather openly. And then chini ya maji pia.
Your mind.
Yeah.
Which one is it?
Zote mbili CT.
Okay, so
yeah, kubali yaishe.
Si juu ya mlima pia.
The conversation is stimulating as it spans generations young and old. I'm kinda tired of the term Gen Z. It is overused and too much reliance on them. Really? Are we too much reliant on them? I don't know. Eunice Kyoko, a very good morning. How are you doing? She says that she's dancing to the rap. Thank you so much. Nyaga Junior, I see you as well. Umesema hutaki kukosa hekima ya city. Asante sana. And then we also have Norbert Award. A very good morning to you, Norbert. And then we have definitely reach your comment, and we shall definitely get to interact. Remember, you can follow us on our WhatsApp pages as well. Search for Radio Generation on WhatsApp, and you will definitely for sure 100% get to join and see all the conversations that we're having there, and also all the top stories making headlines all over the world. It is now 8 minutes past 8 o'clock, and of course in this particular hour we shall be taking a different turn as far as our conversation is concerned, and it's about the labor market. Yesterday tuliketi hapa na wana youth ama vijana wawili, and one of the conversations, by the way, we were really interested to canvas about hii kitu inaitwa nini, labor, kazi, employment. And one thing that came out is the fact that we need to be very proactive when it comes to making sure that we are making incomes. Hii historia ya kungojeanga gava, I feel, in my opinion, is ni kama kujiangusha city. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong.
No, you're not wrong. The alternative is what really, in my opinion, forms perhaps the bulk of my thinking on this subject. And why I say that is because human resource is a resource. And if you want to utilize it well, you have to think beyond your own geographical boundaries. If you look at the advantages that Kenya has had, let's talk about the tourism industry, for instance. The Swiss built us a hotel that is called Utali Hotel, and next to it was Utali College. So for the longest time, if you needed hospitality training, you either went to South Africa or you went to Egypt or you came to Kenya. So very many people in the sub-Saharan Africa would come here. What then, therefore, that meant the majority of people who were in Utali College were Kenyans. And as a finishing point for your studies, you would go to Switzerland, work there, train there.
Wait, what?
Yes.
When?
After Utali was set up.
Ulikuwa ukimaliza kusomea utalii, you go to Switzerland?
Yes, we went to Switzerland.
Is it still happening?
Yes, people still go.
To Switzerland?
Yes.
From Utali, and this is self-sponsored or government-sponsored?
No, it's government. It was a government-to-government arrangement.
Yeah.
Right? And what would happen is that you found that Kenya had an abundance of people who were well-trained in the hotel, in the service industry that relates to hoteliering, or service industry that relates to tourism. Now, what that meant is if you went around East and Central Africa, very many of the people who would head hospitality industries were Kenyans. By virtue of that advantage that we had. It's a human resource. We didn't see it. Again, because of the instability that our neighbors had for a long time, you found that, for instance, in the banking sector, especially in the multinational banks, you found that very many of the people who headed banks in the East and Central Africa region were Kenyans. And again, we had an advantage. We hadn't had the turbulence that some of our neighbors had. Or we didn't have the political policies that they had that hampered their growth in certain spheres. So I am simply saying that you need to look at human resource holistically and understand that exporting it is just part of the larger policy of utilizing your human resource well. You will have an abundance of it, and if you can't absorb it internally, you export it.
Yeah.
For the longest time, because of the conflict that was in Uganda, very many teachers whom we had in this country were Ugandans.
They were refugees.
In the days of Idi Amin, yes, they came here. We had many bureaucrats.
So why don't you have Ugandan accents? Okay, it was on a light
I don't
note.
know.
It was on a light note.
You made me think.
I was expecting us to be...
No, I know, because even when I was a teacher at a school called Star of the Sea.
Right.
Oh my goodness, one taught physics, one taught chemistry.
They were Ugandans.
Oh, yes, they were. There was Kalule and then there was Kabirisi. They were both, you know, some of these things you still remember the names.
Right.
But we taught with them. Some of the people whom I knew in the education sector, when Uganda acquired their peace, many of them went back to their countries and some became very senior government officials.
Actually, my headmaster in primary was called Mr. Mafabi from Uganda. Maybe they came around that time.
Yes, they did. That's a period of time that I'm saying. So it was a human resource absorption. We needed more teachers than we had at that point in time.
Yes.
So the gap was not difficult to fill. Many of the people who later became leaders, whether they're talking about the president of Rwanda or the current president of Uganda, many of them lived here. There are people who, like the first president of Sudan, people like Garang, they lived here.
Yeah, I actually know where Garang's house is.
I'm simply saying that when there's So over time, the numbers have grown. Countries like Somalia and Ethiopia, where the turmoil lasted longer, and there was some serious infighting that could even be termed ethnic cleansing to some degree, larger numbers of people left. So you will find a very huge population of people from that country outside the country. Those are human resources, and we reflect the abundance and the usefulness with remittances. So you find, for instance, that many of the countries that have the sort of remittance that we are speaking of, like on this continent, you look at the remittances that they have, and it's what tells you, oh, you mean, for instance, if you look at Egypt, on the continent of Africa, they have the largest remittances from the people in the diaspora. They are followed by Nigeria, then Morocco.
Uga people are giving a lot of money back to their country.
Yes, they are.
Okay.
Yes.
It's a good thing.
Yes. I can even give you figures. 49 billion US dollars. Egypt, 22.7 billion dollars. You talk about Morocco, 12.5 million dollars. You talk about Kenya, we are number 4. 4.8. You're talking about Ghana, then Sudan. Many of these people, their human resource was exported out of the country, but their human resource that those countries absorbed because they needed that level of human resource. Okay? Now we have a unique situation, and it's different from that point in time. It's different in this sense. We have a situation, especially in Europe, they have a declining population, what they call an aging population. Now when you have an aging population, you need to inject human resource into it. And that is why the absorption of younger people is easy. You look at places like Canada, they have something similar. They even advertise and tell people to apply. Meaning they need the human resource. When a country has a plan, and we have one, the department that deals with diaspora. That tells you the country has thought about it, has realized we need to structure this thing, we need to organize it, so we know where the human resource is needed. We can keep tabs. Our embassies in those places have an understanding that these are the Kenyans who are in our country, and this is where they're at, etc., etc., etc. That is how we look at these things.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So when you talk about labor and you talk about an abundance of human resource, some people refer to it as a youth bulge. It is a resource that requires careful thinking, careful planning, and harnessing. That's what we seem to be figuring out.
Yeah.
How best to do it. But while we're figuring it out, the discussion that has taken center stage is unemployment. And that is going to be a problem for quite some time.
Yes.
So the strategy has to be, what do we do internally? Do we tweak our education system so that is like the one that the Honorary Council of Estonia told us here about theirs, so that children learn to be entrepreneurial from the time they're in high school, so that when they leave, they don't need to look for government jobs. They can actually conduct businesses that will give them a wage or a living or can add value. See, these are the thoughts and the processes that we must consider, because the youth bulge is going to be with us for some time. They are not going to go away.
Yeah.
No, this particular human resource situation that we have, it's not going away. In fact, it's going to increase in time.
So we've and like we said earlier on on previous shows, rather, right here on the People's Breakfast, that it's not like we didn't know that we were going to have a youth bulge in this particular period that we're now experiencing, the Gen Z generation. Na imekuwapo even before the Gen Z, imekuwapo from I think to be honest, from the times we had millennials all the way to right now, and if it's even going to go further into Gen Alpha. So it's not like the government didn't have these statistics. It's not like we didn't know from even policymakers, and not just government alone, even the private sector, they have access to this kinds of information. I feel like the report was there, but no one really gave it much focus. Why? Because perhaps even in government, the way our governments are set up, whereby every president comes with their own ministers and their own CSs and their own PSs and their own directors, we never really have someone to literally steer this thing to the very end and to see some of the implementations or some of the ideas they had and they wanted to implement during this period. They actually continued with those processes and with those plans. Because if today Kibaki came, when Kibaki came in, he came with his own policies, and of course I want to trust that some of them were absolutely amazing and awesome. But the question is, did he consider that particular report that came out in the 90s that said that there was going to be a youth bulge? President Uhuru, did he consider that? Did he pick up from where Kibaki left as far as the youth of this country are concerned? And then now we have Ruto. Like I feel like there's no continuity. Ni kama kila mtu anakuja na plan yake inasahau ile ingine ilikuwa imeshaanzishwa.
You make a valid point, and that particular point is exemplified further when you look at county government. Somebody comes in, instead of continuing with the projects that the other governor had, everybody starts their own. And we know why they start their own. It is why 38 of them are under probe right now by the EACC. Because these fellows don't start because they are in the process of ensuring that the citizenry benefit. No. They look for capital projects that require huge amounts of money, because that is how it is they will make money. And the making of money and the execution of the projects involves what? Procurement. And so this procurement problem, whatever it is that it may have, it poses a direct threat to these businesses that are conducted in our counties. So you're right. If sufficient thought was given to the human resource and those who understand these things well, and they're in the Ministry of Education, they're in the Institute of Curriculum Development, Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, if they actually could do what they're supposed to do and they were allowed to do so, you'd be amazed at what we would have.
Yeah.
But the politics tends to overtake these the good thinking.
I remember actually when President Ruto took office in the first couple of months, he changed a lot of executives from different parastatals, and we could see whose appointment has been revoked, another one has been appointed, someone else's has been revoked, then CT has been given that position. And of course, by the time CT comes and takes over this position, of course, yeye anakuja na vision yake. Hata jali kile mbuvi alianzisha, yeye anataka kushine. So whatever movie was doing, hiyo kwanza iende kwa dustbin. Me, I'm coming to tell you what, and I feel like that is an issue in this country. And how we run our politics. Yeah.
The thing about our politics being central to how we run the government or government operations has to do with the reward system that we have entrenched in our politics. So that somebody comes in and is elected, they have people they need to reward, and they have supporters, people whom they need to reward. Now, you reward by giving them positions, whether it's in parastatals, whether it's directly in government. It's reflected in appointments, and that becomes the reality. Yes,
and it's a problem. All right, so our guest has arrived in studio. Karibu sana mheshimiwa. We're actually just talking about the labor market and not just the labor market rather, but we're just talking about the youth in this country. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to welcome the PS State Department for Labor and Skills Development, Shadrach Mwadime. Welcome to the studio.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, we're glad you could make time to come and talk to us on matters labor and skills development for sure. And we were just talking about, like I said, the youth bulge. We have had this information about the youth bulge for a very long time, from back in the 90s, and you know, statistics were collected. We knew for a fact as a country that we were going to be here right now and have this huge unemployment situation that we're facing. I don't know, what's your comment as far as that is concerned?
Yes, you are right that projections were given that we are going to have a youth bulge, but I think the previous administrations did not plan well as to how we were going to handle this situation. The Kibaki administration tried with the Vision 2030 and the strategies that they put in place, particularly the social pillar. But I can't really say with a lot of confidence that the administration that followed later on were able to put in place proper measures to ensure we address the unemployment issue. And the reality is we're going to have a youthful population for a long period of time to come.
Yes.
Because 75% of our population currently is comprised of those who are 35 years and below. These are the same people who are getting married now, establishing families, and begetting children.
Right.
So in my projection, even in the next 100 years or so, we will still have a very youthful population in Kenya and in Africa as a whole. Now, we shouldn't really look at it as a challenge. We can also look at it as an opportunity that we can exploit for the good of the African continent. Because, number one, when it comes to trade, if we go into inter-Africa trade and produce goods and services within the continent, we have a ready market within Africa. You know, yet the young people are actually the market, the customers who will procure it, these goods and services. So, the way I see it, it's still an advantage for Africa. We only need to build the capacity of these young people, give them sufficient capital also to exploit the resources that we have. Because remember, the resource base in Africa is extremely high. So exploit the resources, produce goods, sell within the continent. The African economy will expand in an exponential way.
Yeah.
So yes, possibly the previous administrations did not look at it from that perspective, but this administration is putting in place proper macroeconomic policies so as to ensure we get there.
And we've seen the president making certain strides towards that.
Right.
And even in terms of tertiary education, whether it's the TVETs or colleges and universities. Recently, fees imeteremshwa, which is a good thing. How sustainable that is, that's a conversation for a different time. However, at the end of the day, it's a positive outlook on the situation that we're facing. Right. But now when we talk about skills development, what specific sectors, in your opinion, should we focus on as a country to ensure that we are keeping up with the times? We're in the 21st century. To be specific, we're in 2025. A lot of things have gone digital. There's a lot of technology around.
True.
How do we keep up with that?
So we are doing an analysis of the local market and the international market to see the kind of skills that are on high demand as it is currently. We have established 12 sector skills committees of different sectors of the economy comprised of practitioners in those particular sectors who then inform us on where there are gaps so that we can inform curriculum quickly and change curriculum. It's only right that we produce graduates who are employable. After graduation, they can gain employment immediately after. But you see, the situation, the way it has been currently, is that we produce graduates who cannot be able to gain employment. So what are the kind of skills that we're looking at that possibly will be of benefit to them? One area where we need to put a lot of focus on is on green skills and green jobs, that can be accessed easily, not only within our market, but also the international market. So we've come up with a strategy on development of green skills for green jobs.
Okay.
We are looking at things like the electric, motor vehicles and motorcycles that obtain as it is currently. Do we have capacity to repair
these vehicles?
Do we have the capacities within? Electric energy is stored in batteries. Batteries are made of cobalt and lithium. Cobalt and lithium is found in Africa. Do we have capacities to produce batteries within so that we do not import these batteries from the Western European countries? We actually produce them at source where the raw materials are found. So that is the kind of things we're looking at. Solar panels, for example. If we are to ensure that Africa is lit up, then we better go into energy sources, that are sustainable.
Right.
Of course, we've gone hydro as it is, which is good, but we can also go solar. Place solar panels even on our water bodies, where space is unavailable. But I encourage Kenyans as much as possible to access solar energy. Now, solar panels, we import them from Southeast Asian countries and China. Do we have the capacity to repair them whenever they break down? So those are the kind of things that we're looking at. And I can tell you with confidence, one of the semi-autonomous government agencies that is under my charge, that is the National Industrial Training Authority, is already imparting skills on solar energy. How to repair solar panels, and hopefully, eventually, how to make the solar panels.
I actually saw the CS yesterday, that is Dr. Alfred, posted some job openings, some interviews that are going to be happening at NITA in Athi River, I believe.
Right.
And some individuals might have the opportunity to go abroad and work in places like Dubai. Some people would argue that we shouldn't be getting labor out of the country, but we should be maintaining it here, because we need these skills here, and we need these people here to ensure that they're actually working in our industries and so on and so forth. I don't know, what are your thoughts on that, and on the issue specifically of brain drain, because a lot of skilled specialists are leaving the country. We had a conversation here with a Dr. Miskela. He's, I think, the Deputy Sec Gen of KMPDU, and he said that some of the best skilled doctors and nurses are leaving Kenya to go and work in places like Canada, US, and so on and so forth. And tunaachwa na wale, I'm not saying they're not good doctors or good nurses, but we are losing like some proper skills to our neighbors, or rather to our overseas partners.
There are two things. You have to look at it from two perspectives. Number one, when you're dealing with when you're dealing with human beings, you must realize that they are also social beings. Okay? So here is a graduate of medicine who has completed his or her studies, who has been tamarking, looking for employment for the last 2 years. You must ask yourself, is that right, or it's morally wrong? These are people who have a lot of energy, and they want to make use of the skills that they have to the advantage of not only the people they want to serve, but also to themselves, because they have a life. They want to establish families. They want to take care of their offspring. So you cannot tell a human being, hey, look, wait until the economy expands and then we're going to absorb you. You can't do that. It's morally wrong. So where opportunities open up, we want them to exploit them for their own good. But remember, number two, Much as there's that argument concerning brain drain, and I've heard about it, repeatedly. I believe it's an old theory, and I'm saying so with a lot of confidence.
Okay.
The flip side of brain drain is brain gain, and that is the way we're looking at it. These young people who are going abroad are going to get technology as it is currently. Remember, Kenyans are very patriotic. You can see it from the remittances that we're getting from, the diaspora. They go out there. They meet technology as it is. They bring back home this know-how together with the savings. And, I've repeatedly said, these are models that actually have been put into practice and we can emulate them. I've used South Korea as an example repeatedly. South Korea about 30 years ago sent the young people to Japan, to Saudi Arabia, and to Germany. They came back with a know-how. They were able to exploit the resources that they have now to a point of converting the economy into a first world economy. That's the reason why the Hyundai vehicles can compete equally as well as the Toyota vehicles. In terms of, the specs, the specifications, the performance and everything else. That's the reason why we're using Samsung smartphones that can compete with iPhones. They went out there, they managed to get technology as it was, they brought it back home. So the flip side of brain drain is brain gain. That is the reality, that is the other side of the coin. So you only have to be strategic, even as you're sending these young people abroad, and inform them that they're going out as frontline economic soldiers. Let them go out there, gain as much as they can in terms of the know-how that obtains in those first world countries. Save as much as they can. We want to guarantee them a very high return on the investment. Those are the plans that we have as it is currently, so that they will not be enticed to invest in the countries of destination, but they will think of their own country back home, where the investments will, attract the highest return.
Yeah, because I feel like most of these developed countries, they literally hunt for the best of the best in Africa, and specifically here in Kenya. Because when you go to when you travel abroad, whether it's in the UK, the US, you meet some of the skilled peoples that you meet in the professions. You find they're Kenyans, whether it's doctors, whether it's drivers, whether it's people in restaurants. Unapata na uko na Mutua, unapata na uko na Kimani, and you wonder, why don't we have the same level of expertise back at home?
We actually have the same level of expertise here.
Absolutely.
We actually do. You see, if you look at in the previous hour, before Bonamadime came, we were talking about this same thing. The stability factor in any nation and the contribution to it is exemplified by Kenya and the human resource that we had. Before Idi Amin became president of Uganda, Uganda's human resource was infinitely better than ours, simply because of the education system that they had had over time. Now, that war dispersed the human resource outside the country and into our own country. They filled a gap that we needed. Most of them, we found them in teachers, but they were present in other professions as well. Now, if you look at the development of our own human resource and the expansion of it, not in East Africa, East and Central and Southern Africa, because of the Commonwealth, you would find that in some of the Southern African countries, Kenyans who worked in the civil service served in those countries as civil servants as well.
Absolutely.
Even in their judiciary. And some stayed there. And it was understood and accepted. We've been exporting human resource for the longest possible time. In the Moi era, there was a larger movement of people out of the country because of the problems that we had with a single party state. Many of the people who left were already trained and they brought in others, but they found others out there. Right now, what we're talking about is something that you need to look at vis-a-vis this. BBC, our own media, have spoken of how it is that Kenyan youth help people procure their degrees by writing dissertations and papers for them. That's a skill. And they are here. Okay? Now, what other skills do you think we have developed locally? I give you examples of the hospitality industry, how Kenyans flooded this whole region with expertise because we had the advantage of having a college that others didn't have. It's called Utali. The management of the labor that we actually have in this country has to be an ongoing process because we have it in abundance. That same era of President Moi introduced education, higher learning on a level that had not been seen even in East Africa.
Right.
So we've been producing trained, knowledgeable human resource for quite some time. It's just that we don't seem to realize it. Maybe we're overcritical about ourselves.
Right.
But the truth is this: the human resource exists. It's a question of how do you put it to the best use possible. But you're talking human resource.
Yeah.
We have it. I give you the example of the Philippines. They understand the sort of trained manpower that the US requires in the health sector, nurses specifically.
Right.
They have institutions who train people and are certified so that when they enter the American system, it's seamless. They just enter.
Absolutely.
We ought to consider either setting up such a system or working with the Philippines so that we send our health workers to train there so they can easily be absorbed into these systems seamlessly. They already have the fundamental skills required. Now that's an example of a country knowing the human resource they have and utilizing it properly. If you're talking about the process of developing so that we move on to what the economists call a takeoff stage, we had the fundamentals of it. We did. We had institutions that were supposed to help us get there. Our politics being what it is.
It is what it is. But PS, we have a question here on our YouTube channel. Someone is asking, the society is agrarian. Our society now is agrarian. What are we doing in that sector using technology to create jobs?
Yes. We have to put a lot of emphasis on, the resources that are available, as I said earlier on. And much as our society is agrarian, you must realize that a big percentage of the cover of our land is also arid and semi-arid.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a question of how can we make use of this same land, to produce enough agricultural products. And this goes with the strategy that we have, like Galana, the irrigation strategy, the boreholes that we're drilling as it is now, in order to convert a big percentage of our land to become agriculturally, productive. So we are focusing a lot on agriculture as it is, and you can see even in terms of what we are doing, we are subsidizing at input level, so as to ensure that we produce the highest level of output that we can. But let me go back to what Bwana Munga was talking about concerning Philippines. I want to give an example of an educational institution in Kenya that has already adopted the model that obtains in Philippines, and this is Mount Kenya University. If you are to undertake a degree in nursing at Mount Kenya University, you'll be guaranteed of employment in Germany.
Is that so?
Yes, because they have already made arrangements with employers, hospitals in Germany to take our nurses. So the syllabus that they teach is acceptable in the German economy.
Okay.
So in actual sense, you're already there.
Do they teach in German, the German language? Or
Yes.
So you are taught in the German language?
No, German language is offered as a course.
Also. So you train as a nurse,
yes,
but you can take German language as a course,
yes,
so that you fit seamlessly into their system.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, that's a good thing.
So we're already there. And even with our TVETs, we are insisting that they have to offer foreign languages, particularly with countries where we have either signed a bilateral labor agreement or we're about to sign one. We have made progress, and it's just a question of a few things being sorted out before we append our signatures on that document.
And actually that's interesting, because once you mentioned MKU, I wanted now to ask you what the government is doing for our own institutions, Kenyatta University, JKUAT, Masinde Muliro, and so forth, so that when if I'm studying, like I did biotechnology at Kenyatta University, so is there a way people who are doing a similar course can work in the markets outside Kenya? And do we have any kinds of agreements? You've said some of them are currently being worked on, which is a good thing. And this is this going to happen for all courses, or just for select courses?
No, it has to be select courses, because we are targeting particular markets and the demands that are there for particular professions, particular skills. So Kenyatta University, I'm happy that you've mentioned Kenyatta University. We've had discussions with them, lengthy discussions with the administration. The German government officials who are assisting us implement the bilateral labor agreement, because we have a joint implementation commission, had a meeting with us recently, about 2 weeks ago. But prior to that, even in April, we had discussions on the same, and they are ready to support Kenyatta University because it has strength in terms of foreign languages to build their capacity so that they can offer German also on a large scale basis.
All right.
Yeah, so we are there.
That's good. I asked Dr. Miskela, who again was here. He's been here several times actually, and one of the questions I asked him was, we see issues of doctors going on strike. We have like the situation in Kiambu, and then we have doctors who are going to graduate from Kenyatta University, from University of Nairobi, more university na zile zingine zote, including even Kemu. So if this students, these graduates rather, once they enter into the labor market and they're expecting again to look for employment from Gava, why don't they start their own hospitals or their own clinics? So I asked him that, and then he told me, Mbuvi, do you know, umemaliza tu shule hivi, where do you even get a loan? Because number one, capital doesn't exist unless of course you come from a very rich family. You need capital to set up this particular institution, whether it's a hospital or a clinic. You need the certifications and so much and so on. And I was like, okay, he's making a valid point. Is the government making it easy for people to actually start these kinds of entrepreneurships? Because if you look at what we are being offered through the Hustler Fund, for example, I highly doubt I can get a Hustler Fund to help me build a clinic. If it is there, I'm yet to find out. Or the Youth Enterprise Fund, or the Women Fund, or all the other special group funds that we have out here. I feel like they're insufficient. Why don't we look at ways where we can actually empower these doctors and these nurses to actually set up their own institutions?
I hear you. I'm very happy with the private sector in Kenya. Yeah, we have business people who are very, very enterprising. And I want to make reference to Equity Bank, the Afya centers that they have established. The entire objective is to build the capacity of some of these medics so that eventually they can establish their own practices. So they have already come up with a model that we can emulate. But Bwana Mbuvi, let me tell you what we're doing.
Right.
We are intending to establish incubation centers so as to pass over knowledge on how to run businesses. And I'm happy to tell you, yesterday I had discussions with KOICA, South Korea Development Agency.
Right.
And they have agreed to establish an incubation center at the River National Industrial Training Authority campus. Because that is the missing link. Our young people have the skills, but when it comes to running business, you need additional skills. Otherwise you'll flop. With the capital that you would have injected in, you will be extremely disappointed. So how do you run your books of accounts, for example? How do you market your products? That is the direction that we are taking. And if we can establish incubation centers in nearly all our TVETs, and in our educational institutions, then we are preparing our young people to eventually be as enterprising as possible. But let's come back to the issue of capital.
Yep.
The Youth Enterprise Fund can give you up to 200,000.
Okay.
Yeah, to start off your business. If you are extremely careful as to how you utilize the funds, I'm 100% sure that you'll start off somewhere. It may not be a good place, but you can start off somewhere. The Hustlers Fund,
right?
You start with a few hundreds, but as you keep on repaying, you qualify for higher amounts. And we know of young people who have accessed even up to 800,000. So in essence, what we're trying to say is, if you prove to be credit worthy, then you can access more and more funds, and eventually even be able to access bigger amounts of money in our private financial institutions. So government can start you off, until you reach a particular level where you now have the capacity to procure a big loan with possibly, a high interest, not very, very high. We're trying to tell our financial institutions also they must be conscious of the fact that since we have a huge, population of young people, going forward, these are their customers. you know, like what Equity Bank does. I want to quote Equity Bank again.
Okay.
They will walk with you, you know, and not charge you exorbitantly until you take off. And then now, when you become a big customer, even if the interest rate is high, you'll be able to repay it back.
In fact, if you talk of Equity Bank, let me bring in KCB. They have a program called the Tujiajiri program. Oh, that program has helped very many in the triple-digit thousands. They do exactly what Bonamadime is saying. They don't just kill you, they tool you. And they have partnered with entities that produce tools or produce equipment, so that depending on what it is that you want to do, and by this, the diversity, commercial, you want to go into the beauty industry, automotive industry, you want to go into the technical industry, health aspects of healthcare service. They actually incubate you, as you're stating, over a period of time. And after that, they provide you with the seed capital, and they even tool you. And as you grow, since they've given you the money, they will help you grow to the level of whatever capacity that you want. They don't limit to how much you can actually grow. So when you look at some of our bigger banks, Equity is one, KCB, a program that seeks to ensure that people who have acquired certain skills, predominantly from the areas, from the institutions, the TVET institutions, that there is an opening that you can take advantage of, and you can actually grow a business to ensure that business actually serves the ambitions that you have. So it's not as though it isn't. The problem is we are producing far too many students, far too many Kenyans who have some of these qualities, and these institutions are limited as to the numbers that they can take. Now comes my question. The partnerships that we have with some of these countries that we keep speaking of, whether it's Japan or whether it's Korea, they have a certain ethic and work culture that guarantees that when people are put in a workplace, they conduct themselves in a certain way. There is the understanding that when you excel at what you do, it's just part of what is expected of you as a patriotic citizens. Do we have a similar culture?
Okay, so that is a bit wanting. I totally agree with Bwana Munga. That is something we need to inculcate in our children from nursery. But the way it doesn't begin at secondary school or at tertiary level. You know, it begins when children are extremely young. Inculcate that culture of honesty, you know, inculcate that culture of discipline, of hard work. You know, these are virtues that we should actually promote from a very young age, and I think that is the missing link.
Let's talk about Ajira for a second. Ajira.go.ke, I believe it is. It offers online work for Kenyans.
Online training.
It's online training.
Yes,
it's not work.
Well, we encourage them then to access the work in the international market.
Also, it's a place where a young person or any person, not
we're building capacity. And then we work with you and encourage you now to access these jobs.
And you also, in that same platform, you are informed as to the jobs that are available and where they are available and the skills that are needed to access those jobs.
I remember there's a time the president said that in every, was it county, constituency or ward? I really can't remember the level of Nini he said, but he said that we're going to have this cyber cafes that are, you know, government sponsored, where anybody can just walk in there, you do your online gig, get paid at the end of the day, go back home. I don't know how far that development has reached.
Okay, so what he was trying to do was to encourage also the political establishment to work with us, because they get the CDF. I mean, that's a conversation, by the way, that is very controversial as to whether the parliamentarians should offer oversight, or, you know, also engage in what the executive does. So the parliamentarians get the CDF funds, and what the president was pushing each of them to do was to establish the cyber cafes that you're talking about. You know, a hub where any young person who wants to access jobs abroad will be able to do so at minimal cost, at no cost in actual sense, you know, because the government then will be running those cafes, you know, the government will be paying the bills. It's just a question of you walking in there, accessing the job that you'd wish, you know, to access, and after that you earn out of it. You get what is commensurate with your work.
Yeah.
So that is what he was pushing each parliamentarian to do. I don't think we are actually there as it is currently.
Right.
But there is some progress. There is some good progress, you know, for the MPs who have bought the idea, because it's a way of reducing unemployment. We know of young people who earn a lot of money from online jobs. They work at night, because some of those modern economies operate at different hours, you know, from Africa or from Kenya.
Yes.
So they work at night. You will see a young person, you know, working the entire night, and the next day he's sleeping.
Yeah.
But at the end of the month, he's okay. You know, he's earning a good income that can sustain him. So that is the way to go. But there's a problem also with that particular sector, because it needs to be regulated. Some of them have told us that they are exploited negatively. So we're coming up with a BPO policy. We are doing it in consultation with the ICT State Department and ICT Authority, and I believe we'll be able to get there so that we can guarantee our young people also a good income and good working conditions.
How many young people can this system possibly provide meaningful engagement for?
The way I see it, over 100,000. The way I see it to begin.
How many young people do we have in this country who need meaningful engagement?
Oh, the unemployment rate is so high.
I mean, numbers, in terms of millions, how many do we have?
We have 5 million young people who are currently unemployed.
Precisely. So how do we engage young people to be able to develop whatever business they're into, so that others can be employed in their businesses? Because if 100,000 people can employ 2 people, we then have 300,000 people employed. If that grows and they can employ 2 more people, you can see the progression.
Yes.
You don't need to employ 10 people. How do we have a policy that guarantees that these enterprises that they have are a growth industry, so that other people can join them, and that the training can teach them how to also engage others in employment, but also training them that they can also start their own? How do we get this going?
It's a good question, Bona P.S.
It's a good question. And that's the reason why I said earlier on, incubation hubs are a must. They are mandatory. In fact, we must insist that every educational institution, owing to the situation that obtains currently, you know, Banambuvi,
yes,
out of 1 million graduates that we produce every year, from primary level to secondary to tertiary level, our economy is only able to absorb 200,000. So you want to ask yourself, where do 800,000 young people yearly end up in? You know, where do they go? Yeah. So we must insist that educational institutions must establish these incubation hubs. That's the policy that obtains in Canada, as it is currently. Every TVET has an incubation hub, you know, a business hub, where young people are trained, so that after a year or so, then you can be able to establish your own enterprise.
Yeah.
So Bwana Munga is correct.
Yeah.
You know, Muga is correct.
Unajua umenipeleka kwenu hivi.
Najua ni karibu na mtu wa kwetu.
Yeah. City Muga is right.
Yeah. Kwani tunapoanza na watu wachache, kuna wengine zaidi ambao watafaidika na biashara hiyo. The entire concept, even for the ones that we are sending abroad, is we want them to come back, invest, and employ their younger brothers and sisters.
Right.
You know, so that we can expand our economy by establishing more enterprises.
Right. We sat here with the ambassador of Estonia, and one thing she pointed out is the fact that students as young, the ones in secondary school, are actually taught entrepreneurship, where they are encouraged to come up with ideas. And she was telling us that some of those ideas are so amazing that they even attract foreign investors. So we have you know, angel investors even, or venture capitalists coming into that country and investing in some of these ideas that watoto wa high school, the kinds of ideas they have. So by the time this person is even getting to the university, this person already has got a business and they're doing good. I feel like we need to probably introduce such a thing here in our own country, where we start developing skills and entrepreneurial skills actually for young Kenyans, so that by the time mtu anafika at university, I know I am good in this particular subject or this particular industry, but that I get into university to actually study it because I want to get back and manage my business. What do you think about that?
Yes, I totally agree. Let me tell you about an incident that made me very sad about 3 or 4 years ago. So there's this young man in Nyeri, very enterprising, who is in a TVET, and he decides to produce a helicopter. A helicopter. You remember that story? Yes. It was actually on electronic media, and he tried to fly it off. I think it flew a distance of about 100 meters. Then it came down, and he was arrested for attempting to commit suicide.
Yes. Yes.
Now you can see the kind of thinking that we have as Kenyans. Yeah. The problem is even the kind of products that we produce, as it is, these young people produce, we should encourage them and ring fence these products. They should not be subjected to Kenya Bureau of Standards so that they have to compete with other big business people. And that's the reason why that concept is working in the country that you have mentioned. Entrepreneurs will come and see the concept, see the idea. Of course, this young person does not have enough resources to produce a good helicopter. But the fact that it has flown 100 meters is good enough.
The government should invest in that project.
Exactly. Exactly. So we have it wrong there.
Yeah.
Some of our laws and regulations are wanting when it comes to innovation.
Hata hiyo si sheria. Ni upungufu wa kutoelewa ambao watu wetu ambao wako kwenye vyuo vya uongozi hawana, kuna vitu hawaelewi. You see, right now the German federal government through GIZ has something they called a dual TVET systems integration, and they're partnering with several technical TVETs within the country. Part of it is, it's understood, there's 34 million euros. Ukipiga hesabu ni pesa nyingi sana.
Kabisa.
What they do is they ensure that instead of just studying, 50% of the time is actually spent in companies that do what it is.
The dual system. Yes,
the dual system.
Right.
50% is when you are learning.
Yeah.
Now, anybody who understands the polytechnic system in this country in the olden days, that's what used to happen.
Absolutely.
After every year, you are attached to a company. The first 2 years theory. After that, every year again you by the time you graduate, you've actually been attached 3 times. So when you're released into the marketplace, you actually know
you're ready.
You know what to do. And there was always mention of the preference of people who went to the polytechnic as opposed to people who went to the university to study the same technical qualifications. Now, this affords a situation where you actually have not just trained manpower, but tooled and skilled.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, it exists. This is not theory. It exists. Now, it is an example that can be followed in other areas or other disciplines other than just this. So that by the time somebody graduates, if you look at the way we train, for instance, our health institutional workers, health workers, it's the same. The practical aspects are very profound. That's why any university, any institution is attached to a hospital. So you are constantly putting into practice what it is that you're learning. Now, once you have that, then you have skilled, and then you tool them because they actually now know what it is that you're supposed to do. Question in 1 minute: how is the government seeking to improve this? Because it already exists and it needs to be improved.
Now, let me surprise you. We've already adopted that system in all our TVETs. We were very emphatic about it about 2 years ago, and a directive was given to the PS TVET that all TVETs now adopt the dual system. And I had a discussion with my colleague, PS Esther Moria, recently, and she told me that the same is happening in our TVETs now. The challenge is this, and that is where a program called Nyota comes in. A business enterprises opening up opportunities for these young people to then gain the practical skills that they require. The answer is ish. Yeah, it's not 100%. In essence, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we've introduced a system where we incentivize, entrepreneurs, instead of them paying these young people their upkeep, their general upkeep, then it's paid by the government through the Nyota program. But it's a drop in the ocean. will not be able to cover the entire spectrum of young people.
We don't have to. We don't have to.
Actually, let's take a short break. Nitafutie mheshimiwa kikombe cha chai ama sijui ni maji. When we return, of course, we'll be talking about the developments in the labor sector and some of the things that we need to look forward to as Kenyans as far as labor is concerned in this country. So don't go too far. We'll be right back.
Turn it high all the time. Let the music move you, let's sway. Radio G's got your jam all day.
Radio Generation, the home of urban soul. This is the Radio Generation News.
Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga. Kenya's youthful population should be seen as a chance for growth rather than a burden, Labour and Skills Development Principal Secretary Shadrack Mwadime has said. Speaking during an interview on Radio Generation on Friday, Mwadime said past governments failed to plan adequately for the country's demographic reality, despite earlier projections warning of a youth surge. He noted that the Kibaki government made an attempt through Vision 2030, particularly the social pillar, but the administrations that followed did not put in place strong measures to deal with unemployment.
Previous administrations did not plan well as to how we were going to handle this situation. The Kibaki administration tried with the Vision 2030 and the strategies that they put in place, particularly the social pillar. But I can't really say with a lot of confidence that the administration that followed later on were able to put in place proper measures to ensure we address the unemployment issue. And the reality is we're going to have a youthful population for a long period of time to come. Yes. Because 75% of our population currently is comprised of those who are 35 years and below. These are the same people who are getting married now, establishing families, and begetting children. Right. So in my projection, even in the next 100 years or so, we will still have a very youthful population in Kenya and in Africa as a whole. Now, we shouldn't really look at it as a challenge. We can also look at it as an opportunity that we can exploit for the good of the African continent.
The government has halted overseas medical referrals funded by the Social Health Authority following revelations of abuse of cartels and unregulated foreign hospitals. The move comes as authorities introduce stricter vetting to curb corruption and promote local healthcare services. Speaking at the launch of Digital Health Transformation and Taifa Care Caravan in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County, Health Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale said Kenyans seek SHA support for treatment abroad will have to wait longer as the Ministry of Health enforces new rules. The suspension will remain until reforms are fully implemented. Interior Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen has revealed that persons of interest have been identified over the killing of lawyer Chalo Mbobo. Mbobo was killed in a drive-by shooting along Nairobi's Magadi Road on Tuesday, September 9th, 2025. Speaking in Migori County on Thursday during the 38th Jukwaa la Usalama Forum, the CS said the Directorate of Criminal Investigations had made significant progress in the matter. The CS also called on Kenyans to volunteer information on the drive-by shooting incident.
I am happy to note that there is some progress that has been made. Some persons of interest have been identified, that those persons of interest are being interrogated, and many others are going to be sought. I pray that the DCI is going to be successful. We thank the eyewitnesses who have already come out, who are in the scene, and many other Kenyans of goodwill who are giving information to the DCI. I encourage more Kenyans to come forward and assist in the process. Anybody who knew anything that is related to this very heinous act to come out.
Agikuyu elders from Kiambu County have expressed frustration over what they term decades of neglect in resolving historical land injustices. Speaking at the Lands Disputes Office in Nairobi, They lamented that some members have died after nearly 10 years of moving from one office to another in search of compensation without success. They further decried that their quest for justice keeps being shuffled from one commission to another with no resolution.
It seems the commission does not have goodwill in this matter or in these claims, because they have been telling us that they are going to give us determination, because all what now remains is determination.
Cases of historic injustice have no time limitation. Be aware that this generation is following up. Even if you don't do justice to them at this hour, it will be followed thereafter by generations after generations.
Authorities in the US have revealed new video of the person of interest in conservative influencer Charlie Kirk's killing. The video shows the suspected gunman climbing down from the roof of a building on the campus of Utah Valley University, where they believed he fired the fatal shot, and walking away from the scene. The video was played during a news conference Thursday evening with state and federal officials. The FBI said it is offering a reward of up to $100,000, or at least 13 million Kenya shillings, for information leading to the identification and arrest of the person responsible for Kirk's murder. And that's the truth on Radio Generation. Good morning, I'm Winnie Maganga.
There was morning radio. But now there is Radio Generations, the people's breakfast. Curious and bold, getting facts from the shadows.
That's what it is.
Now, as the city wakes and secrets stir, a bright new voice shines. The people's breakfast. Your morning, your voice, your journey. Good morning.
Good morning, my neighbor.
Welcome to the home of hard truths and bold insights. Radio Generation.
You are absolutely right. The time right now is 8 minutes past 9 o'clock. In studio, you're with Mungana Mbuvi, tuko naye PS, that is Shadrach Mwadime, and we also have the rebel without a cause, that is one CT Muga. But that's just for today, yeah? Tomorrow I'll probably, or on Monday, probably give you another title. But yes, welcome so much to the studio, Bona PS. And I like the fact that we were just talking about how we can empower youth and just get them to the next level. I know there's a lot of politics, especially on matters of youth employment. There are people who will come and say perhaps that not much is being done. Personally, as Mbuvi, I am for people to equip themselves, upskill their skills, and actually become entrepreneurs. This over-reliance of waiting for employment, whether it's from the private sector or from the government, I feel kidogo ni kama imepitwa na wakati. We see the government is making strides as far as that is concerned, and it's a good thing. Now, if we are being realistic, we know the government can't employ everyone, right? Currently, what is the current workforce as far as government is concerned, and what more are we going to be taking up perhaps towards the end of this year?
We are at nearly 2.5 million.
Really?
Yes.
Government employees?
Yes, public sector.
This is,
I mean, public sector.
Okay.
Yeah, so it cuts across, the entire spectrum: judiciary, executive, parliament, the commissions, and the like. So the entire spectrum is about 2.5 million.
Right.
Which is not good for economy, because it means a big percentage of what is raised as revenue goes towards paying salaries. So it's a bit wanting, and there should be a change, not necessarily by reducing those who are in employment as such, but a strategy should be put in place. We are not in favor of offloading anybody.
Right.
Yeah. But a strategy should be put in place to ensure that we are able to encourage the private sector to absorb as many of our young people as possible. And you'll be surprised, about 18 million Kenyans are in the informal sector. 18 million are in the informal sector. So that's the way to go.
On the issue of interns, we usually see government advertising these positions every now and then. So are interns going to be paid, or do they just come and work and then after that now waenda wakatafute kazi kwingine,
No,
or
you
they're
have
going to
to
be
pay
absorbed?
them.
Yeah.
You have to pay them. Of course, what we pay them is more or less like an allowance. It's not a lot of money. And it's basically as a way of, taking care of their basic necessities, their transport to work, if it is possible, even their accommodation, although accommodation is very expensive in Nairobi, at least out there in the counties, it's a bit manageable. So it caters for their basic necessities. As to whether they will be absorbed or not is a question that we are looking into very critically. As I said, the payroll as it is now is a burden. It's overwhelming to our economy. But you must also remember, and this is a debate that we can have with economists. Yeah, there are some who say we can as well employ more, because as we employ more, the money will end up in the economy, and therefore it will encourage circulation of the economy. These young people will be buying sukuma wiki, the transport sector will grow, the real estate sector will grow because they will look for accommodation. So there are two sides of the coin. You can employ so that these young people are not idle and inject some money into the economy. But the reality is, when the burden of what you use for expenditure is more than what you then keep aside as your savings, then the economy is bound to suffer, because savings equals investments. As you save more, you're able to invest more. So if you have more money out of what is collected as revenue being used for infrastructural development, for example, for different kinds of investments that will spur up the economy to grow, then you're better off rather than having 70% of your money on recurrent expenditure and only 30% on development.
Matters remuneration for the general population, the 2.5 million Kenyans who are employed by government. Are we keeping up with international standards as far as paying for these skills is concerned, or are we keeping it local standards?
We're keeping it to the standards that we obtain in our country, right? The economy.
Why do we need to adhere to international standards?
For example, people who work in the media, there's a standard of payment that that is commensurate to the skills that you have. Doctors, for example, teachers, and so on and so forth.
Media.
Media practitioners, yes.
Commensurate with international standards. The people are paid.
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
It is not.
Kwa sababu gani?
Our practice, there's a theory here, and the theory about international expertise has to do with what it is that probably is based on some UN standards,
right?
If it's in the field of healthcare, WHO standards, and so forth. Okay? For that to work, you have to understand your local conditions, the local economy, and what pertains to you specifically. Okay? Now, why am I saying this? If you look at the private sector, there's an immense divide between the remunerations in the private sector and the public sector for doing more or less the same thing. Huge difference. But that was not always the case. There was a time when the employer of choice in this country was the government.
Right.
Because working for the government, just working for the government, you could buy a car, you could buy a house, you take your children to any school you want, working for the government. It was very possible. That was before the advent of 1974, when we first understood there's something called inflation, and OPEC came into being, and all manner of things changed. The world more or less changed then. The private sector could meet those standards because, given what they do, they invite expertise from outside the country. Now, when it comes to the government work, where the standards now perhaps become a little tricky is the international standards we're talking about are, say, IMF standards. Somebody who is an economist working for IMF, what they're paid, in the currency they're paid working in Kenya.
Right.
Can our economy absorb, or can our economy entertain? I'm using the word entertain. The answer could be yes, because specific qualifications or specific skills that are perhaps not locally available are not that many. Okay? So those standards are something that we may aspire to, but I am more concerned about whether the standards that we have locally meet our needs.
Okay.
the wages that people are paid, whether it's a local wage, can people live with it? Do you know what is the minimum wage that somebody can live off, according to the Kenya Bureau of Statistics?
15,000?
6,000 shillings.
Okay.
6. Okay?
According to KNBS.
Yes, 6. That's minimum. Now, what I'm saying is this. The reality that we have is what ought to influence the decisions that we make.
Right.
The standards that are set are good because we understand what it is they're talking about. But they often don't understand. For instance, when people talk about international standard and employment, do they understand that our informal sector employs 18 million people? The World Bank and IMF for the longest time referred to it as the hidden economy. Okay? It was not hidden. But what they also didn't understand, that economy got a boost because of their structural adjustment programs. Why? They came in all manner of newfangled ideas which have never worked anywhere and were forced to implement them in the Moi era. People took a golden handshake at the age of 35, 40, you leave work at your peak. It was negative in that sense, but the benefit was these people entered the informal sector. But these are people who had knowledge. So the informal sector changed. It stopped being just small hand-to-mouth existence. It could grow. To understand it, look at what we do with the places where we go to eat meat. You will have a haircut, your car will be washed. It's a Kenyan innovation. Go to a petrol station. There's a supermarket, there is a bank, there is a butchery. Bus. Now, I'm simply saying, now this is investment coming in to grow, but it meets the needs that Kenyans have. Now, our growth has to be that organic. Because if it isn't, it won't last. People like certain things in this country. If you go to places that sell alcohol in the evenings in this country, you'll find many young men and women around there, say on a Friday. Some of them have cars parked, but they're most standing in groups. They buy this alcohol from that place. And usually, there's a place where they play music, a nightclub, or what I like refer to as a cultural establishment, not far away. They will then go to the nightclub. But because they consume alcohol, it is cheaper to buy from that place. I'm simply telling you that there are Kenyan innovations that we must understand. Now, those who want to finance and go into business must understand that need. Because if you don't understand that need, then that business will flop even before you begin. Now, there's this suggestion about the inadequacy of the programs that we have and the numbers that are reached. Unfortunately, you have to start with a small number. We did not start with 20 universities. We started with one. It was called the University of Nairobi. And even before then, it wasn't a university. It was Royal Technical College. When some of us went to university, there was one university in Kenya. So when you talked about going to university, no one asked you which university. You knew it was only one.
It was the university.
There was no other university to go to. Okay? But over time, it grew. The human resource in these universities, where do you think they came from? They're Kenyans. They may have gone abroad to study, but they all studied here initially. The point I'm making is this. If we understand the multiplier effect of the initiatives we have, they will grow and they'll help the process of beginning to solve this unemployment problem.
Absolutely.
You can't find employment for all these people, but you can find work that produces the sort of value that could employ others. If you give it growth, then the unemployment problem will start tackling it effectively. If you look at the TVETs, because I was relating to this, the county governments have brought money locally. So people build houses. When you build a house, you want a modern house, you want to do piping. People want to electricians. People want to build roads. TVETs produce this knowledge. So you immediately have an abundance of human resource that can actually provide a service for the money that's available. You're already tackling the unemployment problem without realizing that that's what you're doing.
Absolutely.
My point exactly.
All right. In fact, there's an economy that did exactly that many years back. That is Germany.
Really?
Yes, Germany grew as a result of putting a lot of emphasis on the small and medium, enterprises. Yeah. That is where they put their focus on. In fact, you'll be surprised. The big companies that obtain in Germany are family owned. Mercedes-Benz, Daimler, BMW, and all those big companies. Yeah. Rothenberger. all those companies are owned by families. It's families that establish them.
So there's generational wealth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're able to employ a number of, young people as a result of that initiative that was supported by the government. So he's right.
Yeah.
Switzerland is a country of TVETs. They actually prefer technical college
skills,
than university. And they're better paid.
Because you have the technical skills.
Yes. It's something you can do. Now, this is a developed nation. Now, to understand it, if you go to Switzerland, it's predominantly mountainous. My friend, you will see a house on what you call a cliff on a mountain. It's a house. Somebody's house, and you wonder,
unashangaa ilijengwa aje?
Wacha kujengwa, unafikaje huko? I'm simply trying to say that there are people who've developed certain understanding and properties that suit their needs.
Okay.
And this must be our discussion. Because we have a situation with human resource. We have an overabundance of it.
Yeah.
How do you engage it meaningfully?
So have we understood the needs of this country so that we can tailor our trainings and our education towards achieving those particular goals?
Yes, we have. We have several policies that we've put in place. I mentioned one, the policy on green skills and green jobs. We have a policy, this is a strategy that we put in place on skills development for labor mobility.
Yeah.
That is geared towards labor mobility alone. We are also encouraging TVETs to impart skills, technical, practical skills that can be of benefit to these young people. Now, let me surprise you. In Canada, you'll find someone has undertaken a degree, even up to PhD level.
Yes.
Then goes back to TVET to learn practical skills. Nova Scotia Community College is a good example. I was there last year.
All right.
And I met a number of PhD holders who are undertaking a diploma. They're upskilling,
Yes.
Yeah, and retooling themselves so that they can be now of benefit to the economy. We are telling our young people also, it doesn't matter whether you did actuarial science,
medicine,
you did whatever you did, you can as well add another skill that can be beneficial to you, even if it's not a question of going to TVETs.
Right.
You can as well access these courses online. Some of them are for free, and add another skill that can be beneficial to you rather than sitting at home and waiting for you to be absorbed into the economy in terms of the skills that you've acquired.
All right.
You know what he's saying?
Yeah.
You find somebody has studied, you mentioned medicine.
Yes, medicine.
They qualify, they take the years, and they even have a specialty. The fellow decides that they actually want to be a chef.
Yeah, it's true.
I'm giving you examples of that. Yeah. And that's what they decide. Somebody decides medicine is good, but I prefer ICT.
Yeah.
And they go back and study.
Absolutely.
But they're trained. If you ask them, believe me, they understand what they studied first.
Yeah.
The idea of skills and the valuing of these skills is something we lack. We have a class system when it comes to qualifications. We have elevated academic learning to a degree that we shouldn't. Academic learning has its place and it's useful. Technical knowledge and know-how has its place.
Okay.
We had a time when you were a teacher, you were very elevated in the society. It's a point in time when those were the most educated people. Then came a time when the profession got into disrepute. And it didn't get into disrepute because the vast majority of teachers were either drunks or chasing after school girls. No, that was not the point. The point was that our value system turned to quantifying jobs.
Okay.
How much do you earn?
And Mbuvi?
Yes.
Human beings can be multi-talented. That's the reality. So if they're multi-talented, they can also be multi-skilled. I knew of a surgeon in Kisumu. He was the provincial surgeon.
Right.
Many years back, while I served as an administrator in Kisumu.
All right.
Who was also a carpenter. And he would make excellent furniture. He would use his spare time, to do away with stress by making furniture.
So he used surgical precision.
Surgical precision
to make
awesome.
To make precision furniture.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. And that's a good thing. I want us to talk about labor strikes. We've seen a couple of them. Sijui kama ya Kiambu ilisha mabado wanaendelea. It's dragged on for a very long time. Over 100. Actually, I think now they're on over what? 120 plus days. So how then do we ensure that we don't have these problems? Because I feel like sometimes government ni kama huwa mnangoja watu waende on strike ndio sasa mseme mmestrike. Wacha sasa tuongee.
Kile ambacho kinafanyika ni watu huwa wana time pia. Wakati wa elections ndo utaona strikes nyingi, because then the government will say yes, there is no government will wish to be pushed out of power. You want to sustain power, and therefore if you're pushed to the wall you accept easily, and you are twisted, and you accept terms that practically cannot be implemented when you look at the way the economy is performing. So you end up with a cycle of strikes. The moment that administration is put in place, people down their tools, and there's nothing much you can do. You start negotiating again to implement a collective bargaining agreement that was signed during the election period.
So then is it because now these labor unions do not understand this? They and you've said they take advantage because of the times, tunakaribia elections, wacha tusukume ya watu. But what is so difficult with just saying no, and the same weapon they're using against government, you actually use it against them and tell them, look guys, strike all you want, and this is the reality on the ground. These are the numbers, and also share that information with the public, because one of the problems I feel like the government is having currently is communication. Because sisi tukiwa hapa nje kama wananchi tunaona yenyewe government haijalipa ile CBA.
Ndio. So you see the spirit that obtains in the labor sector is a tripartite spirit, where the employer, the employee, and government sit together and agree on the way forward. And this is what we're encouraging as an administration, so that we discuss the CBAs early enough, even before they are made operational. Unlike what has been obtaining currently, where a CBA is signed and then we start negotiating later on how it's going to be implemented. It's good that we sit together. We do an analysis of the economy the way it is, and discuss, is it possible really for us to agree on a CBA of increasing wages and salaries, or we leave the wages and salaries as it is currently and we discuss other issues, possibly the environment, the work environment, to have decent work environment,
their
welfare, and such like things, because it's not so much the salary that matters, but the other benefits also that need to be looked into. So what we're encouraging currently as the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection and the State Department of Labor and Skills Development is we sit early enough and agree on a collective bargaining agreement even before we append our signatures and it is implemented. So for the CBAs that have expired, we want to agree, early, or the ones that we can foresee are going to expire very soon. We want to agree, sit together. We invite economists, to do an analysis of the economy the way it is. Honestly have a discussion that is going to be beneficial to all of us, as employers, as government, as employees.
Now, this particular, you've said the experts, this financial experts, the economists, yes, the ones who will come and analyze the situation. Are they only going to come from the government side, or are they economists that all the three sides you've mentioned agree on, so that at the end of the day, just like an autopsy, isisemekane ati kuna daktari wa serikali alisema hivi na daktari wa familia alisema hivi. Wacha wote wakwe in agreement.
Yes.
So it can be a realistic step towards the future.
There are financial experts in the private sector and also in the public sector. So long as these experts sit together and agree on a common stand that this is the way the situation is as it is in our country currently, we go by it.
Because I feel like there's always a disconnect, and like you've said, there are CBAs that are about to expire. So then now, are we going to see looming strikes again next year and towards even the election?
We want to preempt those strikes the much we can by encouraging, as I said, that tripartite arrangement that obtains in the labor sector. And indeed, so far we've been having very cordial relations with the trade unions. They're going to have their elections very soon, by the way. This is the season for trade union elections. But also with the FKE, the Federation of Kenya Employers, we sit together and see how to sort out some of these issues in an amicable environment. This is our economy. This is our motherland.
Right.
We owe our allegiance to our motherland, and we should not allow situations to come up that will affect our economy adversely.
All right. And I hope next year, or perhaps towards the end of this particular term, we shall perhaps have a conversation and see how far that
you can hold me accountable.
Yes, because I usually feel like there's so much politics in those conversations, and we tend to lose sight of what we are trying to achieve. Rogue agents, tumekuwa na shida ya rogue agents sana.
Nakubali.
People are going to Saudi Arabia, people are going to which other countries. Juzi kuna watu tuliona wameletwa na ndege, mara they were held captive. Yeah, it was Myanmar, right? What's going on?
The reality is, young Kenyans, because they're desperate, owing to the unemployment situation, the way it is currently, are also gullible. Yeah.
Right.
And kitu mbaya bwana Mbuvi ni kwamba kuna Wakenya matapeli kabisa ambayo wamejaa uongo mtupu. Somebody places an advert on social media. Yeah. Mbuvi recruitment agency.
Right.
Jobs in Canada. Send 10,000 for registration.
Yes.
I can send this money without verifying, first of all, whether Mbuvi recruitment agency is registered or not.
I don't even have an office.
You don't even leave alone an office. You are not registered as a company. You're operating from your bedroom.
Yes.
The computer that you have, the laptop that you have.
Yeah.
That's where you're operating from, or maybe a smartphone. Just put a very attractive, advert, and you get Kenyans giving you a lot of money. So it's ignorance in actual sense. I do agree that there are some registered recruitment agencies that are also rogue, but we monitor them on a daily basis. Out of 1,200 registered recruitment agencies that we had about 2 years ago, we have reduced the number to 600. Unafanya kelele kidogo tu hivi, pap, tunakuweka kando. Unafanya kidogo, pap, tunakuweka kando. So the ones that you see on print media and electronic media, most of them are not even registered. They are travel agencies that tell you, look, if you have a visitor's visa or a tourist visa, you'll be able to access jobs in Canada or any other country of destination, which is a white lie.
Tourist visa and working, they don't even go together.
They don't go together at all. So what we are doing now, we are producing pamphlets, we are giving out information concerning different countries. We'll tell you, if you want to access the labor market in Canada, this is the process that you need to follow. And we're happy with our embassies also, because they've been very, forthright and proactive on it, giving this information so that pretty well, for you to access the German market, this is the way to go.
Bona PS, how will Kenyans, how are you planning to ensure this information gets to Kenyans?
Yeah, so that's where the challenge is.
Yes.
We want to go out to the field. Yeah, and we've been doing it, by the way. We will not just talk about going out. We've tried as much as we can to have job fairs, to sit with the national government administration, to sit with the political establishment, so that we can appraise them on what they need to tell their constituents, concerning accessing jobs abroad. We have done that, and we've been very aggressive, but we will continue doing so. Now, what I want Kenyans to know, and I want to capitalize on this opportunity that I have now, we have the NIAIMS, the National Employment Authority Integrated Management System. You can access the website of National Employment Authority. You can create an account. All jobs that are genuine are usually uploaded on the system.
Right.
So that you compare your skills with the job vacancies that have opened up. And then now you apply for those jobs. Yeah. That is what we're encouraging Kenyans to do. Yeah.
You said it's a National Employment
Authority Integrated Management System.
Where?
However, NIAIMS, kwa ufupi tu ni NIAIMS. However, for Kenyans who have been duped and have ended up in these countries of destination and have realized
into slavery,
sexual
slavery, and other kinds.
It is sad. I'm telling you can get depressed when you start. And I get a number of those distress calls, messages that are sent on my WhatsApp. It can be very, very depressing. But what we do is we have a toll-free number. that is manned by the National Employment Authority, so that you can bring this information to the awareness of government.
Right.
And then we see what we can do. We've given instructions to all our ambassadors and high commissioners. Anything labor mobility, anything Kenyan workers working abroad must be given first priority. The other strategy that we intend to employ is to have as many labor attaches as possible, whose work is basically to go and see the conditions under which Kenyans are working out there. So that in case you have a complaint, you don't even have to call. There's somebody who visits you, and monitors your situation on a periodic basis, so that you can raise whatever complaint that you have and we can take it up. So we've implored upon government, treasury, to allocate us some funds so that we can deploy as many labor attaches as possible. We have one in Riyadh, but we want to open an office also in Jeddah. Now, why are we sending labor attaches, 2 labor attaches to this country? It's because of the number of Kenyans who are already there.
Okay.
Because there are over 250,000.
Really?
Yeah. Let me tell you.
Ndio.
If you look at the remittances that we receive, the diaspora remittances, the highest is from US. The second highest is from Saudi Arabia. So Kenyans have already gone ahead of us. And this is something natural. I mean, migration has been taking place ever since this world came into being, ever since man found himself on the face of this earth.
Right.
If you find the situation within your environment is wanting, you are not able to access jobs, you go elsewhere, where you can make use of the skills that you have to the maximum.
And I'm sure, I mean, some of these things we hear happening in the Middle East, let me bundle them in one place. You can really, if you do something similar to those individuals here in our own country, my friend, you're going to be in hot soup.
Absolutely.
Lakini sisi, for some strange reason, mambo yanatufanyikia kule, and we tend to feel like the wheels of justice from our end are moving very slowly. People have died, people come in caskets, others I'm hearing they've never been found. People are still looking for their kin in those countries. And I ask myself, what is it? Because are we a toothless dog as far as this?
No, we are not. We have sent some smart lawyers to study the legal frameworks that obtain in these countries, so that we can use their constitutions to protect Kenyans. Okay. And Wanamuga made mention the country that is leading currently on the strategy that they have on matters labor mobility, Philippines. Philippines did that, so that you use their own legal framework to protect Kenyans. That is one strategy that we have.
Right.
But number 2, you may have possibly accessed this information. Saudi Arabia was cited negatively in the last ILO conference that we had in Geneva.
All right.
Yeah, and fact-finding mission was established. Yeah, it was actually Philippines and other countries that were on the forefront, but also Africa, Kotu and the like. Yeah, so let's give them time, the fact-finding mission, to get to the bottom of it.
Okay.
And I believe those issues will be addressed in a comprehensive way.
The discussion revolves around the protection that the country provides to its human resource. What are some of the safeguards that we've put in place regarding labor exploitation? People who, whether you want to seek it privately, what are the fail-safes that we have in place that guarantees a Kenyan? That's one. 2, how widespread is this knowledge that Kenyans actually know that this is the process that you must follow when you go to a foreign country?
So we have a new legal framework that we are putting in place. It's a bill, the Labor Mobility Bill, that we've come up with, which gives the structures that need to work in favor of migrant workers. Yeah, so that migrant workers can then be able to access these markets in a very safe and secure way. But within that bill, we are also establishing a labor migrants welfare fund that will then be used in case a Kenyan finds himself in a distressing situation. We can easily be able to bring him back home or if unfortunately also, you know, he passes on, then repatriate the body back home. But also the family and the like. So it's a safety net of some sort, an insurance of some sort, you know, to guarantee this worker that even as you're accessing this market, in case anything happens, we have ready resources that we can use.
I had a conversation with at a previous workplace. I had an interview with an agent, and this agent was telling me, it was a gentleman, he told me that sometimes movie unachukua kwa mfano Mwadime unampeleka Saudi Arabia, ameenda kufanya kazi kama mfanyikazi wa nyumba, but this person wants now to wiggle their way into probably working as a construction worker, and he was telling me that those are some of the situations Kenyans find themselves there.
That's true.
And now it makes their situation worse because the laws in those countries will definitely work against you. Ulikuja hapa kama mtu wa nyumba, umeingia kwa mjengo aje. So I don't know also if
kwanza kuna neno linatumika huko Kemboi, sijui kama umewahi kusikia, wale wanaokimbia. So umeenda as a maid, umeanza kufanya kazi, umekutana na Wakenya wengine ambao ni waerevu, wanakuambia kuja tutakupatia kazi zingine ambazo utapata pesa zaidi. So you take off, you leave all your documents, you know, your passport and what have you. You're no longer honoring the conditions of your the visa. Agreement that you signed with your employer. You'll end up in trouble. There's no question about it, because you lose your status in terms of health insurance. In case you become sick, you cannot go to any of the hospitals and get medical attention. Unfortunately, because that's what obtains in the economy. Your health insurance is tied to your employer.
So umeenda pale kama maid, wewe fanya kazi yako.
You see, if you have signed a contract for 1 year, you know, why are you greedy? So urudi nyumbani upate contract ingine ya kwenda kufanya kazi ingine, you know, because Saudi Arabia is only 3 hours away. You know, I mean, flight is only 3 hours and it costs about 35,000. You know? So you can as well come back home and again sign another agreement that will guarantee you a high salary.
You know, City, I don't know if you've been around that area where the Saudi embassy is. The lines you see there, kwanza sasa sangapi 9:42, ukienda the lines that are there, and I usually ask myself, what is this? At what point do Saudis advertise these particular jobs?
Word of mouth tends to work a lot better than any system you may think of.
Than any website.
You see, this phenomenon, I'm going to call it a phenomenon, began a long time ago. In the previous century. If you grew up at the coast, you'd know mtu ameenda kufanya kazi Saudia. It was a profitable engagement.
Absolutely.
Because people who went to work there, believe me, came back home, built houses for their parents. They did many things. That whole ecosystem changed when the Bangladeshi now also went to work in Saudi.
Right.
They were not as snooty as Kenyans. They were willing to accept much lower wages and work longer hours. Oh yes, they actually outbargained Kenyans out of very many positions. Meaning, the situation that pertained in their country had taught them things that Kenyans hadn't learned. We are now here where we are. What isn't spoken of, perhaps rightfully so, because we speak about the Mwananchi who needs most protection. We have people who go to Saudi to drive. They're drivers, long distance drivers, blah, blah, blah. You have people who work in the airline industry. There are people who have technical skills and work in businesses.
Right.
There's an entire range of Kenyans who work in all aspects of life in that Middle East area. But we speak of the house worker because they're the ones who have the most problems.
Actually, I've not had any other kind of laborer suffering in those
that
countries.
The only people who are employed there
ni wafanyikazi.
That is not the case. That is not the case. There's a very broad spectrum of Kenyans who work there and who are employed there and who are able to actually earn a much better living. When, for instance, Kenya Airways had the problems it has had and seems to continue to have, very many of our pilots actually went to work in the Middle East.
Right.
Yes. And they live there and they work there. But they're not the only ones who live and work there. Some of these multinational companies have Kenyans who worked here they've gone and worked in the Middle East. So there's an entire range of Kenyans who work in those areas.
Yeah.
Yes.
There is Gypsy Corner saying, thanks for explaining the word Kemboi. I have always heard of it, but I didn't know the meaning. Then there is he's also saying that we should not build other countries before building our own. And then Sonette saying there's so much emphasis on exporting labor. So Sonette and Gypsy, I'll refer you to the first hour of this conversation. That was at around 9 o'clock. The PS did actually explain why people why there's so much export as far as labor is concerned, but there's also a balance from what I got as far as that conversation is concerned. Someone is saying true about Germans businesses, and no one owns a house but people rent. That's a good idea. The day I see the rogue entities prosecuted to the full extent of the law and jailed accordingly, then I will be persuaded. So PS, are we prosecuting anyone as far as these crimes are concerned?
He's right concerning that. I think we've been a little bit slow. But we do forward these cases to the security agencies, to the DCI, to the police. They have this information.
Right.
The challenge here is when the DPP, takes a case to court, it has to be waterproof. It has to be foolproof. So the evidence is also critical. And I've seen the DPP return a number of files to the police saying you need to investigate further before this person can be arraigned in court.
Because the evidence is not sufficient?
It's not sufficient as it is. But the charge is obtaining money by false pretense, or giving promises that are unfounded. You see, and all that is chargeable in a court of law. Yeah, so I agree with him. I'm also looking forward, because we have forwarded a number of cases, and I've implored upon the security agencies, the police. I've been writing, to them, asking them to ensure that these people are arraigned in court. Kenyans want to see blood. In short, that is what he's saying. They want to see action.
They want to see heads rolling.
Yeah, they want to see heads rolling.
Yeah.
And I totally agree with him.
Yeah. Because I think that's also an area that we are failing, because nikiona mambo yanafanyika na hakuna mtu anaumia, si hata mimi nitafanya, nitatapeli wa Kenya wenzangu.
Utajaribu.
Because I also want to live the good life.
Lakini tutakushika.
Nataka because I'm not saying that I will do it, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, I get it. I think we've been very emphatic as it is now. It's not just a question of naming and shaming, but what Kenyans are asking for is that people be arraigned in court. If you go to the National Employment Authority website, you will see a number of recruitment agencies that are in red ink. We are telling Kenyans, avoid these ones.
When you go where again?
To the National Employment Authority Integrated Management System.
Or that now, the website?
Yeah, the website. You will see a number of previously registered recruitment agencies that
have now been blacklisted.
Yeah, they've been blacklisted and they're in red. Yeah, they're not in black. Blacklisted, red listed. I think Kenyans have been complaining, black people have been complaining about the word blacklisted. Yeah, because of the
maneno ya racism. Tumekuwa woke excessively.
So they have been red listed as it is. Yeah, the ones that are in black are okay, incidentally. So we favor Kenyans in that. The ones that are in black are okay, but the ones that are in red, avoid them. Yeah.
But we've been having rogue agents from the very get-go. I have a neighbor from back in the day in the 90s. He was offered a job in the Caribbean na akapeana mpaka pesa mingi sana, and that job never came through. Alirudi pale kwa ile kazi, ile siku walikuwa wameambiwa wanafaa kuripoti kazini, found the offices were locked. He peeped through the window, furniture was missing. They had literally hired that office for the month. Walikuwa taka kutapeli watu. No, walitapeli watu wengi sana.
Actually, you're right. Even in the 1980s, when I was a high school teacher, there was a gentleman who came to talk to the students. At that time, we were not aware that somebody could actually fraudulently present themselves as somebody who can provide scholarships. This fellow, not only was he arrested, but he was in the papers. He went and he scammed some people who were not taking it well.
Yeah.
So it was in the papers.
Yeah.
Well, none of the students in the school I taught in ever applied. But he was given an opportunity to present what he wanted and so on. And I thought, at that time, oh, this is very good. Only later to learn that this fellow was a con artist. Yes.
But a PS, we have about 10 minutes to the end of the show. I want to ask you about Ruto at 3. This is when 3 years ago this Kenya Kwanza government took over. where are we as far as the, your docket is concerned, the labor market, the labor developments?
So one of the programs that we've implemented that has been extremely successful is on recognition of prior learning, where any Kenyan who has gained experience and gained skills as a result of that experience, we're able to certify them, give them certificates that will enable them access good jobs. And not only that, give confidence to their customers. Because if in your garage you have a certificate saying you have attained a certain level of, education and skills, training, possibly diploma or certificate, you establish confidence in yourself that your Mercedes-Benz will be taken well care of.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we've done a lot of certification. For the last 2 years, we've done 7,200 certifications. But we have a program going forward owing to the affordable housing, a project that the government is undertaking to certify 20,000 more. And we're not only targeting Kenyans, as Bonamuga said, even refugees.
Yes.
Those who have attained skills over time. The only problem is having certificates. We will certify 20,000 also. This is in accordance with the program that we've established with the World Bank. This is the Nyota program that we have. So this is what we are intending to do going forward, and hopefully it will be of great benefit to Kenyans. But NITA is an institute that brings on board everybody irrespective of your academic qualifications.
Right.
If you are a standard 1 dropout and you want to gain some skills, some technical skills, register with the NITA. Yeah, we will not tell you that you need to have a Form 4 certificate with the minimum of C+, and above or anything like that. We'll absorb you. So we don't want even a single Kenyan to fall through our fingers. Ruto at 3, we have over 420,000 Kenyans working in the international labor market. Last year, the amount of money that was remitted by Kenyans in the diaspora was about $4.95 billion US. That converts to about 700 billion Kenya shillings. And in accordance with the statistics we have, it's only 5% of the savings that Kenyans make because they still don't have confidence in remitting their money back home. So if we establish confidence in them, that their return on investment will be extremely high, we can push it even to about 10%. That will be 1.4 trillion Kenya shillings, more than a quarter of our national budget. That is a lot of money that is being injected into our economy in foreign currency. That's the reason why, by the way, our foreign exchange rate is stabilized. It's because of that, because of the amount of money that Kenyans are remitting back home. It used to be about 3.2 billion about 3 years ago. Then it increased to about 4.2 billion. It's currently nearly 5 billion.
Yeah. Actually, City was just checking the numbers yesterday. It's about 4.8 now.
Okay. Yeah, but as of December it was 4.95.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
US dollars. So you don't know by December how much it will be. Yeah.
Interesting. And so in in terms of trajectory, because kuna mahali mulianzia, mahali tunaenda, we are saying that we're going to see more of uptake of these individuals in the institutions you've mentioned, like in NITA. We are looking at having more Kenyans also go abroad. Someone was actually doing some maths juicy. Akasema ni kama government in export over 1,000 people daily. How true or not true that is, I will leave it to the people who did those statistics. But you also say that you will look for more opportunities for Kenyans abroad.
What did they mean by exporting? Because when you say exporting and seeking placements, the
two are different.
The two are very, very different.
Yeah, so it's one of those clicks, and that's why I said I will leave it at that, because what they were saying is that PS actually just said that 420,000 Kenyans have left the country, to work abroad. So he was saying if you divide that by about 365 days in a year, that's about 1,000 plus individuals per day who are going to be flown out of the country. And the particular person who brought up that story was saying that it is impossible to fly out 1,000 people daily.
It's not really impossible. The point is this, this is not a phenomenon or a concept that only exists in Kenya. It exists on the continent. It exists worldwide. India leads in remittances worldwide, meaning the population of people who are Indian citizens who send money back to their country, they are more than China. Far, far more. They are more. The Philippines features. Okay. Now, they've understood this. They trained people and they're deliberate about it. It's not somebody just wakes up. They have a very clear idea of what it is that this can do for them. By the time you are netting in terms of remittances $135 billion a year, that is a heck of a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Yes. So it's not something to be ignored. It's something that needs to be harnessed and something that needs to be given the attention, because something that is giving this amount of money into the country, it's outstripping every other source of foreign exchange that we have.
Absolutely.
Yes. Surely, should this not be given more attention? Should we not structure it in such a way that we know that we can double it at this point, we can triple it at this point? Because, my friend, it is money coming into the country. Yes.
Yeah.
And it is just as useful as whether we are selling that thing called avocado. Okay? Yes. Or macadamia.
Parachichi.
Yes. Or whatever it is. It brings foreign exchange.
Yeah. And we are happy about it. It's a good thing.
In fact, in terms of foreign exchange earning, imeshinda coffee, imeshinda tea, imeshinda tourism.
Yes.
It has beaten all the traditional sectors that we used to rely upon to bring us foreign exchange. Yeah,
that's a good thing.
Yeah. And if you look at it, when you talk about remittances, you're talking about the tourism industry. There is a component of it called cruise ships.
Yes.
We've expanded the expertise that we have. You know, when you think of a hotel, you think of something stationary and grounded on earth. Cruise ships do the same thing.
Yeah.
We have very many young Kenyans who now work in cruise ships, and they go all over the world. Now, you see, other people who have understood this have had their people doing this for the longest time. It is a source of income for them, changes their lives completely, but Kenyans also benefit.
Let me tell you the advantage of working in a cruise ship.
Yes.
You don't pay utility bills. You don't pay electricity and water. It's offered for free.
Yeah.
You don't pay accommodation. You are given free accommodation. You don't pay for your meals. So your entire salary goes into your forex account. And not only that, these are 7-star hotels floating on a water body. Yeah,
you get to enjoy.
No. Not only that, they are patronized by billionaires.
Yes.
The tip that you receive is even more than the salary that you earn. That's the reality.
Yeah.
So hiyo pesa yote weka kwa account yako.
Mimi, I was already on the fun part of it.
Of course you are.
We were just thinking about the mojitos and...
Of course you are.
Yeah, you get the exposure, by the way. You get the exposure by moving from one country to another.
Yes.
So there are advantages.
Thank you so much, PS, for coming through. This has been a very interesting engagement. I'm seeing a couple of people who came late to the conversation, asking questions that we had already answered at the very beginning. Now, the PS was here from about 9:10, 9:15 thereabout. So if you can go back onto the this video, which is going to stay here forever and ever, just rewind to kidogo. Kuna maswali naona watu wakiuliza about the labor export. We've just spoken about welfare of individual Kenyans working abroad, which I can see is a question that just came up somewhere. Someone is asking about remittances. You can also again refer to the conversation. We have the Floim digital platform saying PS eloquently has explained on the tripartite approach in labor matters. That is actually a very good I found that eye-opening, something I didn't know. Na sasa kila labor union, trade union leader akikuja hapa nitakuwa namwambia wewe kuna vitu nimeambiwa ningependa uende ukaconfirm huko kwa ministry tena. So thank you so much.
Asante bwana Mbuvi. Niseme tu wale wa Kenya ambao pengine wanataka waweze kutuafikiana, tunapatikana kwa X vile ilivyo Twitter @PS Mwadime, na pia at Labor SPKE, na pia Facebook Ministry of Labor and Social Protection.
Right.
So Kenyans can reach out to us, you know, in case they have any queries, and we should be able to respond to the same comprehensively.
Right.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you so much for taking the time to come and be with us. We hardly get this government folks coming here for 2 hours. Saa zingine wanakujanga hapa 15 minutes na wanatoroka. So at least leo umekuwa very patient na sisi, and we appreciate that time. This is where we come to a close city. See you on Monday, bright and early.
Yes.
Same time.
God willing, see you on Monday.
Inshallah. All right.